Hello and welcome to the Comicspiracy Podcast, episode 359 for the week of July 3rd, 2018. Almost said March. I saw the 3. It's close. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here this week. Well, who is not here this week? That's the better question.
Jim.
Jim is not here. Who is here this week?
Brock Sager.
Kevin Sharp.
Vamos, Colombia!
Just Bryce.
Just stop.
Me gusta Bryce. Me llamo Bryce. Me habla Bryce. Something about Bryce.
You got the middle one.
I'm gonna.
1 out of 3 ain't bad.
That's not what Meatloaf said.
Not Spanish, Scott Shea.
Sometimes Spanish, Toby.
And Charlie, never Spanish.
And Lane's across the room. Lane, shout.
Hi, Lane. Say hello.
He's there. He's back there. Don't worry.
And we have our live studio audience, which
And
is
the Bryce Killer
the
is
first
here.
lady of the number one cable fan
First
is
lady
here.
of the Comic Conspiracy Podcast, the Cable Killer.
Yeah.
So
Nobody but Charlie likes her, except for all of you.
it's rare. Dang. So it's rare that we're all gathered together. It's more rare when we're here not for a movie and for a comic book. It's super rare when none of us actually have the comic book in front of us because our shipment is probably on the other side of the grapevine right now, about coming down into...
On the 5.
It's on the 5, heading up here to San Jose. Our lovely comic book shipment, which is normally here by 10 a.m., showing up at 10 p.m. tonight. Otherwise, it shows up Thursday. Thanks, 4th of July.
No, it's not 4th of July.
Well, 4th of July would cause it to be pushed back even later. But, so thanks, FedEx. And thanks all sorts of problems at other comic stores. For all sorts of stores didn't get their shipment sometime this week. New books are Wednesday. It's Wednesday by the time you hear this, probably. So we're all here to talk about a comic book mostly, but also to talk about stuff around a comic book as well.
Yep.
This is 100% full spoiler alert, so you guys might want to not listen to the rest of this podcast. You can skip to the last 20 minutes and hear Bryce's outro, which is spoiler-free, which we previously recorded, and lots of soccer anthems played during that.
Higgins,
so definitely,
it's not exactly spoiler-free. If you're worried about spoilers for the World Cup,
World Cup spoilers,
it is spoiler-full.
right. Yeah,
Sorry, not sorry.
But we are going to talk about Batman 50 and talk a lot about probably less about the comic and actually more around the stuff around the comic because we have a lot to talk about here for Batman 50. So again, full spoilers going forward. This is your one and only warning. Sorry, guys.
You've given them 2.
So we've been talking about Batman 50 for quite some time. It's the wedding of Batman and Catwoman by Tom King, Mikhail Hanin, and a big group of some of the best artists at DC.
Yep.
Pushed incredibly hard by DC. Crazy amount of publicity and promotion. Easily one of our highest order comics of the year.
Ryan, is it too late to do my wedding day tomorrow, while this is happening?
You should totally do
at the
it.
same time?
Tons of stores are doing it. One of the highest order, easily one of the highest order comics of the year. Maybe the highest order comic. It could outsell Action 1000. I don't know. Tons of store exclusive covers.
Outsell Action 1000.
It could.
What about outselling that random X-Men book that had that other wedding?
Oh, well, nobody knew. I mean, nobody ordered that many of that, so that you have to.
That was their
about
fault
that one.
because. Wait, are we spoiling already?
X-Men Gold. We did that like 2 weeks ago.
No. I meant the Batman.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm just kind of doing some setup here. Everyone knew that Batman 50 was coming, and I was unanticipating spending the better half of Sunday on the DC retailer forums, talking with people at DC, seeing probably the biggest meltdown I've seen on the comics internet in quite some time, because out of nowhere, DC... Oops, let me close that. Don't want more soccer anthems. DC decided to allow the New York Times on Sunday, a good 4 days prior to the release of Batman 50, to run a mostly spoiler-full... It misses one major element, but it does spoil the vast majority of Batman 50, including this... They don't even try. The title of the article is "It Just Wasn't Meant to Be, Batman." That is the title of this article. What?
Yeah,
yes.
Crazy, dude.
So
the title. Insult to injury.
on the 1st, this goes out. This issue where everyone was expecting Batman and Catwoman to be married, New York Times just full-on spoils it, days before release. Now, this isn't stores got it Monday night and Bleeding Cool got scans and put them on their website. This is a fairly large article in the New York Times that was on their main page of their website. This is
early in the day.
Early morning West Coast time. So by the time I was getting up and ready, this was, this had just hit. And all of a sudden, this is easily one of the biggest freakouts I've seen, both in the retailer end and from the fan end in comics in quite some time. Now I want to get your guys' opinion first, because before we even talk about the content of the comic, I do all sorts of midnight sales here. I do all sorts of cool releases. I order a crazy ton of DC comics. We sell them a little bit better than their distinguished competition. As it's a joke. It's a joke. That's what Marvel calls DC.
Exactly. So it's exactly not that.
It's a joke.
No, I know, but don't they have their own
I don't remember what they call them.
The better team, maybe they call it.
I think it's a marvelous competition.
Yeah, they're marvelous competition. Yeah,
it's a little on the nose, DC. Fucking be more original.
Direct Currents.
That's their magazine.
What? That would still be DC.
Yeah, but they're just being direct.
That was the name of their magazine for a long time. DC Direct Currents. What was I saying? I remember. Batman 50.
Batman 50.
So, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought. Thanks, Brock.
It wasn't my fault. There was like two other people there.
Yeah. Thoughts about the series.
Was stupefied by the awful joke.
I order a staggering amount of DC comics, especially Batman, and I don't know, we weren't really big on Batman 50. I didn't do the midnight release.
You were not doing the midnight release this year.
The midnight release. I didn't do the store exclusive cover. And especially once the solicitations came out for 51 and Catwoman 1 and 52, something didn't seem right. I even put a thread on the DC Retailer Forum on Facebook that said, are the solicitations for Batman 51 accurate? Because it doesn't seem like the solicitations doesn't read like this would follow the major event that is Batman 50, of them getting married. Is there going to be like a tag on the title that's like, the wedding, aftermath or something like that? And they're like, nope, the solicitation is very accurate. It's about Nightwing.
Wasn't there a tag about reading a certain issue before?
That's the cover of Catwoman. The cover of Catwoman
so did they
number
listen
1.
to you afterwards? This is a Ryan Higgins?
No. That was always going to be the cover.
He's credited as a co-writer.
Let me see if I can get the solicitation for Batman 51. So, everything to me would seem that I would go crazy on this issue, but there was this little nagging thing in the back of my head that thought, something doesn't seem right. Did you guys think that they were getting married?
Well, first of all, I didn't think at all. I was just going to let it happen.
That's a rarity. Said nobody.
So I didn't put much thought into it. And then,
oh, sorry, hold on. I don't want to interrupt you.
All right.
So, Batman 51. Batman 51. The honeymoon's over for Bruce Wayne as Gotham City's most prominent citizen gets selected for jury duty in a chilling court case involving Mr. Freeze. Freeze claims the charge... Wait. Yeah, it's 51. Freeze claims the charges should be dismissed because Batman uses excessive force. So, what's Dick Grayson doing around, running around the city dressed as Batman? Does that sound like the issue after they get married? It's about him going to court.
Give us a little more. So that was the preview for the following issue.
51, yeah.
The previews.
Yeah. The previews solicitation.
Oh, okay.
It's Lee Weeks. Art.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm super excited.
But it doesn't.
It doesn't sound like.
It doesn't sound like the issue after the honeymoon's over. What do you mean the honeymoon's over? Did they go on the honeymoon in 52? So Toby, go ahead. You were saying
that sounds very weird.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what I was going to say.
You didn't think.
Toby says he wasn't thinking, so...
Wait. Let him tell us. You weren't...
thinking.
Yeah.
You were just going to let it happen.
I was going to just let it happen.
That was all you had to add?
Yeah, and then you have to interrupt me
never
before
mind.
I get to say happen.
So, my expectation was kind of two-part.
Wait for it. Happened.
I expected some sort of significant event to happen in Batman 50, and I wasn't necessarily convinced that it was going to be a traditional wedding per se. But, there was a lot of talk online even about the distinction between Bruce Wayne and Selina versus Batman and Catwoman and that kind of thing, and secret identities. And so Yeah, I'm not necessarily surprised the direction it went, but yeah, there are times when you put a little too much emphasis on a book. Mm-hmm. And this stuff, like the fact that this book became a bigger thing with lead-up issues, tie-in issues.
Yeah. Prelude to the wedding, right? The 5-issue miniseries.
The wedding. Yeah. Hey, here's your wedding invitation.
DC is putting out a wedding book.
It would be
with all the covers and everything on it.
Yeah. Here's an example. If they put, okay, Superman's going to die. Here's your black-bagged covered issue of Superman back in the day. And at the end of the issue, he doesn't die.
He doesn't die. Yep.
Yeah.
People are like, what?
Yeah, and I mean, like...
Exactly.
The DC
there was somebody out there
issue.
that hasn't opened that book yet and is now going, I have to open it to know whether or not it's true.
I got the spoiler. I got the variant one where he doesn't die.
Yeah.
2 different endings.
I mean, I think the thing is the build-up was aiming very heavily at them getting them tying the knot.
Oh, yeah,
well,
of course.
It was...
The build-up, you mean literally everything that they ever were publishing for the past several months?
Yeah.
If something else significant happened in the issue, I think they could have gotten away with it. But it doesn't feel...
I don't know, that last panel.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk.
Yeah,
but I don't think that panel makes up for...
Well, yeah, and that's a good point. We'll talk about that. I want to get people's opinion of the book as we go. But anyone else, at least, what were you guys thinking? Kevin?
I would have guessed not getting married.
Yeah.
If this had been, shout out to Toby here, the wedding of Dick Grayson, I would have said for sure it would happen.
Yeah.
Much going back to that Teen Titans annual with Donna Troy's wedding. The Wolfman Perez. Mm-hmm. I would have said for sure is happening. The Batman getting married was just too... And I know Superman's married. I know Spider-Man's either is or has been married.
Has been. Not currently, but...
I just think of Stan Lee's maxim about that you want to give fans the illusion of change for the characters without actually changing them. Mm-hmm. And a character like Batman as a married man seems too fundamentally different from who that character is.
Well, what is the one problem, especially in 2018, where if you marry Batman, especially to a character like Catwoman, what is the only way this can end in a proper story way?
Tragedy!
She gets killed. Yeah. Right?
Actually, funny you mentioned that because...
What?
Because...
What?
Yes?
Why is that the only way that
what else would happen?
End?
Yeah.
A fucking retcon that he goes back in time. They get divorced.
Oh,
they fucking he's been a clone all along. She's been a clone all along. I just fucking like
so a lot of Marvel
without
books,
any
Bryce.
provocation.
He begs for one more day.
6 off the cuff answers that are all plausible in comics world.
The only possible answer is she gets killed.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Ryan, you want to
Why-
share
what?
how I
Why do
called
you-
you this
why do you
morning
think that?
and thought something else happened in the book?
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the actual context of the issue in a minute.
Well, either she dies or she dies a few issues later.
Right, of course.
I mean, there has to be something.
What?
Well, because Batman as a
Why?
character is tragic.
Yeah.
And it fuels him to be Batman.
There's no other way the story would have gone. If they actually get married, she would die at some point in the near future.
All right, so that gets to Bryce's turn. Oh, is it Bryce's turn already? Oh, okay.
It is.
All right, so
it is Bryce.
I
Rogue
thought
gonna
that
die soon?
You're handsome and smart.
No,
I
because
believe it.
no,
Yeah,
Rogue
well,
will
I
not
can't.
die soon because Gambit and Rogue don't matter. No, because Gambit and Rogue.
I know!
There's no
What to do now?
There's no
Hashtag hate the hub.
There's
No,
no.
hashtag clown suit under Ryan's bed!
There's no. Whoa. There's
the
no.
hell?
There's no
That was
inherent.
only for date nights.
There's no inherent backstory of Rogue and Gambit. Is like, I mean,
Gotta borrow back
clearly
to
there are
Charlie.
tragic elements to those characters, especially Rogue, but there's not this like, the death is not really a driving factor of either of those characters.
This is fucking crazy. Look, what I thought
Kevin's gonna
this whole time.
he's got stuff to say.
What I thought this whole time was that Tom King is going to be on Batman for X number of issues / years. And he's going to marry them. He's been building it up for years. He's going to marry them.
This is issue 24? Yeah.
Okay, whatever it was.
Yeah.
He's going to marry them at, I don't know. Call it the halfway point is what I've been thinking. And then they're going to have like a couple story arcs. And then they're going to split up by one of those myriad. No, we are not open, my man.
Closed.
Jesus Christ.
Closed. Yes, we are.
Yeah, leave us alone. But I love you. Come back.
We're closed. There's only 9 people in here. Is that a kid driving that car?
More than
Oh no! It looked like that 6-year-old kid was driving that
more
car.
customers than you ever get on a normal day.
This 4th of
when you're
July
actually
week's
open.
gone crazy.
Look, I thought that he would have them there would be an arc which would be pertinent to any sort of Batman story where they start flirting with Tom King's direction, and then they would have this marriage, and then they would have some adventures, and then it would fall apart by something that was neither of their faults, so that they could go back to the status quo when Tom King is done, sort of like how Bendis did with the Avengers, was he played with the toys and then he put them back in the box when he was done, and so by the end of Tom King's run, he would have everything back to the status quo. So, yeah, I did think that they would be getting married. Whether or not they were going to stay married forever, I did not think so. But I thought that they would have a long time of it. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that was perfectly reasonable. And I do not think that she needs to fucking die. What the fuck?
Let me just add on to what you were just saying about the...
Can I propose a title after Catwoman dies? Darker Batman.
Well, that's...
If he thought he was dark before, he is darker now.
Darkest night. Let's remember, there is a precedent for Batman and Catwoman being married on Earth 2,
Yeah,
which
Huntress.
is where we get the Huntress. But that's a retired couple.
Yeah.
I just don't know that it works as a active team.
Right.
Now, the point Bryce brings up is exactly what I was just saying, the Stan Lee quote about the illusion of change. They're married, something happens, and then the next writer comes on and we're back to ground zero.
Exactly.
Again, I'll just come back to, because we've had it done on Earth 2, and I don't even know if that's in continuity anymore.
No.
But what...
Well,
I was going to say, the annual...
The New 52 one, yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about the annual 2.
Oh, yeah.
That was also in the future.
In the future,
they were
yeah.
married already. They had a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Okay, nerd alert. Can Kevin finish?
Well, no, it's one more sentence. They've repeated the Superman and Lois of Earth 2 being married on... do I even say Earth 1? I mean, whatever.
Decent. Yeah,
They've
sure.
repeated that. I just didn't see them going back to the well again to hit that same beat a second time. The end.
Well, and isn't it that DC has a track record of not getting people together?
Here.
Recently, they've had some problems where they split up Lois and Clark in New 52, Aquaman and Mera. Now we have Batman and Catwoman kind of not getting married, but we do have Superman and Clark and Lois. I mean, they're married. I mean, there's stuff in Man of Steel, but I think they're going to resolve that
It's
quick.
Lois and Clark, not Clark and Lois. # feminism.
I thought he said Clark and Superman are married.
Well, that'd be
They kind of are.
That'd be like an Earth Q thing. So,
But yeah, so I think, like I think a few of you, I expected it to happen, and then something would happen to her, or he would leave her for some reason. The events in Batman 50 played out actually kind of, for the most part. I don't want to say what I thought would happen, because I had no idea what would happen, but everything makes sense. Everything works. We'll talk about the actual plot of Batman 50 here in a second, but before that happens, I wanna go back to Sunday. So this article drops, and like I said, maybe one of the biggest freakouts I've seen in quite some time. And
People lost their shit.
And this is more than just random comic fans mad at the internet.
I mean, the speculators were mad too.
Right. So I'll give you guys to the best of my ability, because I mean, there's some stuff I can't talk about, but for the most part, I was on all the retailer forums. I was talking with multiple people. I was talking with people at DC while this was going on, and there was a shitstorm. DC, props to DC, because they just let it happen. They just said, you know what? Retailers freak out. We want your feedback. There have been times where this has not gone this way, where specific companies have kind of shut this down really quick, and they don't want negative feedback. DC,
Well, this is only on the retailer forums. This
Right.
wasn't like on a
Right.
public forum by any
No.
capacity.
Well,
No,
the
no,
public
no.
forum
Do we
has so many
actually spoil
trolls.
what happens, or people that actually didn't pay attention to any
Oh, we
of
talked
that
about that. They don't get married.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but
alright.
yeah,
Just
we'll.
making sure that we put that out there.
Yeah.
As
But yeah,
opposed to
but,
talking
yeah,
about
we'll talk.
Surprise!
Well, we will talk about the issue.
Huh?
Yeah, we will talk about the issue in a minute. So one of the proposals I came up with early on, I
That's
said,
a really bad word to use.
I said, customers are mad, but various stores were saying we're getting cancellation requests from people. This is just another issue that Batman and Catwoman are not married. It's not a special issue anymore. Now, DC had run a bunch of promos from people who had read the issue ahead of time that were part of their network of trusted reviewers and media people. And all the reviews were glowing, right?
Yeah.
But they obviously didn't talk about the specific nature of it. And DC was like very hyped around this issue and was pushing it really hard. And then the retailer response was, we ordered store exclusive variant covers. We have cosplayers coming. We have people getting dressed. We have people getting married on Wednesday or at our midnight release Tuesday night because of this. We have wedding cakes that are being made specialty for our release party.
Oh, okay.
And
That's fucking operator error.
they're not getting married. All right. DC has been. We will find out more exactly what's going on. Bleeding Cool has already leaked a bunch of this. The stuff is out there. DC seems like they're taking care of these retailers. So we're not doing a midnight sale. We're not doing anything special. We're gonna have a sale. We're gonna be open Wednesday, but we're not doing anything on top of what we're normally doing. Right. DC is going to comp a bunch of these people. I don't know if they're going to do returns. These stores that have these store exclusive covers, I mean, you could order 3,000 copies. And again, the speculative market on these type of events. If Batman and Catwoman got married, this would have been a key issue for eternity. The fact that they don't get married, it's just another issue of Batman.
The
No,
answer to that is no. It will not be a key issue for eternity,
Right.
Nope,
Because
you just said that.
yeah, it's not going to be, right?
Well, no.
no, but the wedding of
Are you fucking playing your video game?
Spider-Man and
You just
Spider-Man
said it wasn't-
annual. That's still an important issue.
It is.
Look, fucking, I would love to talk more, and I'm sure that we will, about how fucking DC shit the bed's so big. But if you're going to get married on the release date of Batman and Catwoman's marriage day, maybe you should read some other marriage comics.
See how well they go normally?
I
when
think
there's
the-
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think-
I was done. Go ahead.
No, you're never done. So that's why you have to interrupt.
Oh. I was
Period.
interrupting. My bad.
Yeah. No, you have to interrupt you. There we go. Independence Day is when this comes out.
Holy fuck. Okay, can I go? Can I get back to me?
Yes.
All right.
Who wants to get married on Independence Day?
Because maybe they're Will Smith fans.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or Vivica A. Fox fans, Scott. Girls got game. Okay, look. What I'm saying is that big, like, milestone weddings between comic book characters have, like, I don't know, 75% chance of actually happening. So
No, I'd say 25% chance of actually happening.
so correct. Okay, so thinking just random without having done any research. So Storm and Black Panther went off great. Kitty,
Well,
well, for the time being, that
the
issue.
issue.
That
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Okay, so whatever. If people had weddings that day, then it would have gone swimmingly until a couple of months later or weeks later. And then okay, so Kitty Pryde and Colossus
guess.
doesn't go well. Rogan Gambit.
But it does for Rogan Gambit.
I guess people didn't see that coming, but that goes well. Spider-Man, Mary Jane. I guess that's like a 50-50.
I mean, they were married for a long time. and
Aunt May and Doc Ock, all the people that got married on that day were let down. I got a courtesy laugh from Lane in the back. Thank you very much, Lane. Your
No, I guess no.
That's a good deep cut.
Hey, deep cuts are what I'm all about.
I guess you're right. A good chunk of these marriages have gone through, but stores were pushing this hard,
I
right?
was the main one that I was going to say is Jean Grey and Cyclops, which is I think the Marvel equivalent of this, which happened so long ago, and obviously like
What
so much has
issue?
happened since then. 26.
Was that nose going backwards?
Like him pushing his glasses.
Oh, okay,
Jesus, yeah. What are you fucking not a nerd? What's wrong with you?
Not.
Yeah, but you are. Anyway, my point is that it's
true.
It's I would say 75% chance that they get married, which I would not put my fucking wedding day on those odds. I'll tell you that right now.
But Batman getting married, it sounds like you're going to have bad luck. But stores.
That's you reading into it.
Is there no hardcore Colossus and Kitty fans who decided to like get married on that day, and they're like, "Oops, it's Ashley Gam Rogue."
Yeah.
You're like, "God damn it!"
I don't think so.
In a parallel universe, Higgins is nerdily saying like, "Oh, there's no chance that Superman actually dies," and then.
Well, no. This is the problem.
Hold on. Stop.
Fuck, you hate me, though.
Hey, Bryce, what issue was it again?
This is the problem.
No, hold on. Hold on. What issue was it again?
Brock, shut the fuck up, please. Higgins, what were you saying?
This is the problem. When Superman died, they came out and they told everyone ahead of time, Superman's going to die, and he died. This time, DC came out and said, Batman and Catwoman are getting married, and they didn't. Right? So DC really screwed up. Now,
they should have just said their wedding day isn't that issue.
Even beyond that, there's been a number of times when DC has done the right thing and just remained silent on something.
Yep.
Let people read into what they were. They do not put out big pushes. They tend to be very good about not leaning into sort of the hype train especially when it's not going to be that.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if they had let the books themselves, let people write articles, but not themselves been pushing it so much, they could sit back and go, look, the story went where it went.
Yeah.
You all read into it. But that's not what DC did here. They leaned into this story heavily. They went, okay, what Tom King's doing here is huge.
Yeah.
We need to take advantage of it.
I feel like DC's mistake was it's not DC's mistake. It's definitely not Tom King's mistake. He's writing the story he wants to write. It's their marketing.
Yes.
The marketing team at DC really screwed the pooch on this one. They should have been at minimum, they should have been very cautious in their wording and just said, will they or won't they?
Yeah.
Find out in Batman 50. That's their mistake.
Yeah.
The amount of shit Tom King was getting on Sunday and still today actually is
Tom King.
Is crazy.
He's been getting hammered.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan,
He only wrote it
because the fan.
No, but people didn't recognize that he was an innocent bystander.
No, because all these people since 24, right? Crazy internet fans who don't understand that stories take time to tell, right? Yeah. They want instant gratification, or like, this is the wedding. Oh, they're not getting married. You fucked me, Tom King. Like, you screwed this up. It was your job to marry them, and now they're not getting married. It's your fault.
They hammered. It was brutal.
It was really bad.
Hey, Ryan, if a store, if you ordered a cake for the release of Batman 50, is it on DC now to compensate you for the cost of that cake because these characters don't get married?
It's a very good question. Although I would not have mentioned this publicly, but because it's out there publicly on Bleeding Cool because someone leaked it, DC's comping people for all that stuff.
I'm scratching my head.
Quickly,
that came out this
some
morning.
Receipts on so we could get like free cake on
So they basically said any expenses.
We had lots of expenses from tomorrow.
Midnight. Any expenses of receipts from today or before for anything from wedding cakes to bar tabs we had a huge one on that one.
Challenge accepted.
Like people that were having like wedding receptions. I mean, they're like, we will legitimately. So they give you like a credit if you have a co-op. Co-op credit.
There could not have been that many people that did this.
Well,
this is crazy.
Did you follow Twitter before this? Do you know how many people were proposing in front of like Tom King's signing stations at cons before this?
Kevin, go.
What? Why?
Because Kevin's got something to say.
Because the nerds are crazy.
I am baffled by all of this. Yeah. I don't mean DC getting in bed with the New York Times for publicity. I understand that.
Yep.
We can argue about the spoilers. We can argue about what they let them print.
Okay,
But I understand them wanting to get it. What I don't understand is, people, if you're going to get married tomorrow, but, well, who knows when people are listening to this, July 4th, the release date of Batman 50, you can still get married. Your wedding is not invalid. You can even make a joke of it. Well, ours went through, even if Batman's didn't.
Yeah.
A cake is still delicious to serve at your store.
And
People are still going to come and buy this
what if
comic.
Batman and Catwoman get married like 2 years later?
And by the way, it's
Same
still
day.
it's still a fucking major event at your local comic shop. If somebody's getting married, that's still like more like traction and feet through the door for your comic shop.
No, let me share you.
That is only good. And by the way, if your fucking marriage hinges on whether or not Batman and Catwoman stay together, go fuck yourselves. You might as well get divorced now. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Let me share you the only 2 tweets Tom King has made since Sunday. Okay, and then I have a couple other things to share with you guys. So this was right after it went up, right? He said, "I'm pissed about things and excited about other things. I have no idea how to comment on anything without spoiling everything. Batman 50 is still out Wednesday. I'm incredibly proud of the issue. I hope you pick it up. You have questions, the answers are there." And then yesterday he wrote, "Batman 50 is not the end. This is a 100-issue story." So there you go. 50 is the halfway point, Bryce. "Documenting and celebrating the love of Batman and Catwoman. Whatever happens, whatever anyone says, nothing's going to spoil that." So it doesn't matter what you wanted from this issue. Again, we are only halfway through Tom King's story. Now, if you're just a random casual person who's like, "Oh, Batman and Catwoman are getting married," I'll read that issue, and you're mad.
Is that how they sound to you?
Yeah, maybe I understand that. It's just like Bryce when he pushes his nerd glasses up.
Which is
and Brock, I think it's 31 they get married? 32?
No, it's 30.
It's X-Men 30.
30.
Oh!
There you go. You said like 26
You said
or
26.
That was a different.
I'm sorry for the audio
different
listeners.
marriage.
I rolled my eyes to fucking heavens.
But if you're a reader of Tom King's Batman,
Serenity fucking now.
you're not gonna stop reading at this issue.
No.
So this was the narrative on Sunday and Monday was stores are getting just tons of people are canceling their subscriptions, canceling their accounts.
Read the comic. It's amazing.
They're canceling their pre-orders for the books, right? That this is going to be a huge financial disaster for the comic book stores, especially the stores that went on the store exclusive variant covers, because they had to put in for free 3,000 copies of these exclusive covers. Okay, right?
You're chasing speculators.
Well,
Right?
So
Is that fair?
well,
Yeah, of course.
okay. I agree and disagree at the same time.
Oh,
I agree the fact that you are chasing a collector's market for it, but it's the same way when stores got exclusive covers for sort of any other event that's solicited in comics. They look for issues that will have a certain elevated collector's market for them, like Action 1000 or Star Wars #1
Spider-Man
or
800.
Yeah, I mean, all that kind of ties into a certain level of attention on the book and the events in that book.
now we've had
okay.
as of right now, as of this recording, only one store has had their midnight release yet so far, and that's Big Bang over in Ireland. They had a huge turnout. They said they believe next to Metal #1, the release date for Metal #1, it was their biggest midnight sale ever.
Awesome.
Right?
Did people cry when they read it?
So
Did people not get married?
I ran a poll.
Did people come back the next day and go, "What the fuck?"
I ran a poll in the one of the retailer groups saying, with all this crap going on, of the number of pre-orders and holds that you have, what percent have requested to cancel the book? 0, 1 to 5%, 6 to 10%, 11 to 15%, and so on, right? Out of the roughly 50, 60 retailers that replied, almost every single one said 0 cancellations. 0.
Kevin is clapping his hands.
One person said they had hundreds of dollars worth of cancellations. I still believe that puts it in a very small percent, though, because they're a big store doing a lot of deals with these online with the store exclusive covers. Yeah. So while I understand any loss of income is terrible, I believe it still represents a very small percent of their sell-through.
Okay.
Now, it is not Wednesday. I could have 20 people drop Batman on Wednesday. I don't know. I highly doubt that's going to happen.
After
Well,
reading
but
the comic,
what-
there's no way you're going to drop it.
But so here's my curiosity on this, and this is specifically from a Batman readers I'm not worried about. But you yourself have made a very successful business out of selling sets of action and sets of this stuff. And in terms of the sets market and such,
We didn't sell too many sets on this for just the regular covers.
that would be the area I would be a little more concerned with. Not those who just buy the issue to read the issue, but those who are trying to sort of really lean into that collector's mentality on key events. And
I think if they got married, this would have been the next Superman 75. This would have had casual people would have heard it on the news and been calling Thursday and Friday and over the weekend for it. And we could have had a line of random people Wednesday morning coming to buy the book. I believe this actually totally had that possibility, right?
Yeah.
So the stores that went huge on this and the stores that went huge on the store exclusives, I understand their frustration that they may not sell nearly as many to those walk-in customers. I think if you're positioned to sell to the comic crowd and your current crowd, I don't see you having any problems.
Yeah.
It's still a fucking Tom King Batman book with every great artist DC has involved. It doesn't matter what happens or doesn't happen in the issue. This will be an issue that will be a perennial seller.
with a last page that will make you go, poop.
We can talk about the book if you guys want. Now we can actually talk about.
Before we get to the book, we've spent a lot of time talking about how it's not actually that big a deal, and that it's not going to affect subs, and that whatever. Can we spend a fucking minute lambasting DC for the fucking awful fiasco that this was?
We did. 30 of the last 35 minutes was talking about how bad DC...
30 of the last 30 minutes talking about how it's not that big a deal. And you put a fucking, a poll on the retailer forums about how they're not going to lose any subs.
No,
it's like,
DC...
Yeah, they're not going to lose any subs. That's not the fucking point. The point is that this is a fucking nightmare for all the casuals that you want to get into the comics.
The casuals will never hear about this. It's not a nightmare for them. It's a nightmare for the retailers that were maybe chasing those people. No question asked. DC marketing fucked up badly on this.
Do we get to go over their 5-point response?
Bryce really just wanted to repeat it over.
Their 5-point response.
I was listening to 45 minutes of that.
Their 5-point response. That was something private that was leaked. That wasn't supposed to come out. So,
do we get to talk about that?
We can. I don't have it up here. Do you have it? Do you want to pull it up?
I can fucking find it. But
DC,
I will find it while we are. I'm sure talking about how it's not DC's fault. But we will.
Do you have a special set of skills?
DC had a.
I will find it.
So that was
wherever you are.
Just
you have my daughter.
That was not some
Batman
Bryce.
50.
While you're looking that up, just a little. That was not some written by lawyers. This was
wasn't the official response by DC?
It was DC's quick response to retailers in the retailer forum only. This was not meant to be a public response.
Sure, but quick response.
DC's public response went out today, where it wasn't technically public, but there were their official.
No, it didn't. They fucking doubled down. It's I want to find it.
It's on Bleeding Cool. Their first of at least two official responses went out today, which was talking about the co-op money for the parties and the cakes and the cosplayers and stuff like that. I believe as early as Friday, possibly Monday, we will hear some ability for returns. I do not believe many stores will have that many returns to make. I highly doubt we will. I have no intention of returning any.
No, but people aren't going to return. People aren't going to not get married if they were already planning on getting married.
Return the comic. Return the comic.
Right, but nobody's going to return the comic. The point is that this is a fucking huge disaster that they.
But that's my end problem here is while I think DC marketing screwed up really, really badly, I don't think this will be a financial burden to most comic book stores. Some, yes.
Right, so what I'm saying is that it will not... So I agree with you that it will not affect any current comic book situation, but I would argue that it damages the future and ongoing credibility of any comic book press anything.
It really damages retailer and DC's relationship because of Whenever Marvel tells us jump, retailers are like, fuck off. Like, we just don't do it anymore, right?
You said it better than me.
With DC,
Which
though,
is to say that now that's the case with DC.
with DC, they've never, they're obviously a company out there to make money and they're going to push stuff, but DC doesn't usually come out with quite the level of promotion and press and push that they did with this. Mm-hmm. And when they've done this in the past, it's been for Action 1000. It's been for Metal Number 1. It's been for book. And again, I still think this book will sell incredibly well. And people will, for the actual readers of the comic, will love it. But it is harmed the ability to reach out to casual people. But that is not Tom King's story. So that's why the marketing on this is terrible.
Well, the thing is back when the death of Captain America happened, it was huge news. Marvel pushed it like tons of people.
Stores didn't have it.
But stores didn't have it, and people just flooded comic book stores, and it sold out.
Yeah.
And the thing is that's what this was marketed it as. So when they want those people to flood the stores, which is what Bryce is saying, is that, well, you got rid of that market. And the thing is it's not necessarily the market we want to go after. The stores that ordered you want to go after.
You want to go after any market that gives you fucking money.
Yeah. Paying customers is the best market of all.
But when it comes to the store exclusive,
that money's not good for me. I don't want it. Go somewhere else.
I always say that to Marvel customers.
You had said earlier that the subs and the people that are in the industry and already getting comics and all that stuff, they're the market that's going to be getting these things. And the stores that got those store exclusive covers can easily go online and go, hey, does any other store want to buy some from us?
I mean, they can, but again, that's the hope here is to pre-sell the vast majority.
Yeah, you want to pre-sell a vast
right?
majority of it, but that's always a way to go because you're selling it to another store that can be like, oh, well, I can get it from my customers.
That's secondary market that's not the way you want this to go. You want to run out. You want to blow through the majority. A lot of these stores do have the reach to sell 3,000 copies, 5,000 copies.
I've got a question for Ryan Higgins, the retailer, not the reader.
That's one and the same, buddy.
No.
Talking to him.
No. Do you wish they had gotten married in this issue?
I probably wouldn't have enough copies if they got married in this issue.
Yeah, so of course he does.
Well, he's saying he didn't order with the expectation of them actually getting married.
I think I would have ordered.
You knew.
I think something in the back of my head was telling me this just doesn't feel right.
I think the biggest flag was when they were like, oh, Catwoman 1 is coming out on the same day.
And again, her solicitation text does not sound like happily married Selena Kyle to Bruce Wayne. It's like, has nothing. It's just like she's leaving Gotham. And you're like,
So you wouldn't have enough copies, right?
Yeah.
But would you say that you wish they were married as of this issue as a retailer?
Retailer perspective, yeah, probably, because I think it would have been better for the industry as a whole. Yeah.
Great point, Kevin.
Yep.
Did you get the 5 points, Bryce?
Yeah, I did. Okay, so DC, I'll try to do this quickly because we've lambasted them quite enough, but there's never enough lambasting of DC while I'm around. So DC's senior VP of sales had an official 5-point response to the private retailer forums. Number 1, DC Sales strongly advocated getting the news out ahead of the OSD
On sale date.
Okay. So that the moment of realization did not occur hours before events began. We even did our level best to try and spoil it here on this page over and over again.
Okay.
And failed, he says. The New York Times article was posted at 6:30 a.m. PST. Not out of quote-unquote pride, please, but to get you the information as soon as we could.
I do want to reply to that. The whole thing about spoiler, I flat out asked them what happens in the issue and they wouldn't tell us. So the whole thing, total bullshit about them.
Yeah, so that's their first of 5 points, which is first 0 for 1,
Wait,
DC.
that whole thing was their first point?
That's their first point. And it's already bullshit.
When I asked about the spoilers for Batman 51, I was like, this doesn't sound like they get married. They're like, nope, that's exactly what happens in the issue about the whole thing with the court case and all that. And I'm like, then what?
Yeah, okay, so 0 for 1 with their official response by their SV.
Well, it sounds like
By
they
their
were trying
SVP of
to
sales.
have the typical, well, we don't actually want to say it, but we're going to strongly hint at it. Oops, you didn't pick up on our hints.
Yeah, there was no strong hinting. Just
Right.
flat out, there was no strong hinting.
Okay, so number 2. In the abstract, we believed the news would break Monday morning, given the arrival time of physical copies, in store, and the reality that a copy or scan would end up being passed to uncontrolled comic book outlets, much like, this is the fucking whataboutism, much like Marvel's wedding issue last week and every other major comic book event in the last decade.
Right, Bleeding Cool would have had full scans Monday morning, and someone would have ran them on Reddit, but I mean...
That's fucking very different than the fucking New York Times.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't read Reddit.
Okay, yeah, that makes one of us. Yeah.
So
Okay, so, I mean, fair play, but that doesn't mean that it would be spoiled without appropriate spoiler tags. So
The problem is
DC.
spoiled on Bleeding Cool or spoiled on the New York Times. What's the fucking difference? It's still spoiled to me.
And my mentality
one of
on
us.
this
What the fuck?
is kind of weird because would you rather it get spoiled before people make it to the shops, or would you rather see the backlash in the shops
But that's their concern. It never would have happened. We would have known about this first thing Monday morning when the first shop got their books. It would have been public. It would have been public knowledge everywhere.
Wait.
So they were trying to have this article be like a we're going to kind of tell people ahead of time, but the article not only does it spoil it in the headline, not only does it kind of miss the point of the issue, it also doesn't tell the actual comic readers the point that they would want to know, being those last few pages. So the article really does a bad job of providing any information. It basically says, hey, don't buy this issue. Is what it's saying.
it was not a good hype article.
Not at all.
I tell you what happened.
I didn't know.
This is the article that should have came out Thursday,
I tell you what happened.
right? After the issue was released.
I tell you what happened.
Whose fault?
Not yours.
Either way, it should have been an article controlled more by DC marketing towards trying to get people to buy the issue rather
Well, it
than
sounds like it
don't
was
bother.
controlled very much by DC marketing.
I tell you
Well,
what happened.
the information, but what was written in the New York Times article was not.
Yeah, there's
controlled
ways
by
to spin
DC.
this to make it work.
Anyway,
I will
so
still tell you what happened.
Okay, what happened, Toby?
There's some fucking intern that was banking he's gonna make his fucking career on this. He's gonna promote the shit out of this. He's gonna
the
make
New York
lots of
Times?
money. No, some intern at DC. He marketing, and he's gonna do this whole push for the wedding, thinking he's gonna get his promotion, and now he just shit his pants. Some senior
Nah, I'm
marketing
pretty
guy goes, no, I gotta fix this shit. Let's call the New York fucking Times, and he just fucked himself too.
You're gonna have to dangle something for the Times to get a big article about a Batman comic book.
exclusive, right? That's yeah.
So DC's going to have to offer them something that's going to. So this is what they offered, and you can say, well, marketing screwed up, or how could they let them print it then, or we can point fingers and criticize.
But it would have been meaningless Monday morning,
right? But to get in the Times, which is the gamble that DC took, that they wanted to take for this. You have to offer something other than just, hey, write about this Batman issue where that may or may not have a wedding.
Right. No, exactly. And again,
But
had
the point
the
of
wedding
it getting in the Times should have been to hype up the issue to get it to sell more.
right, and that was the mistake of the article. The hype was, or the article was to unhype it, basically. And I don't see how they could have won either way, because they have to promote it. You don't promote it, stores are going to be mad that it's not pushed. This should get some sort of big coverage. But since technically nothing happens in the issue from a marriage point of view, there's no story there. So the article, you're damned either way. There's no way to promote this through a public eye as before release. After release, that's why I said, Charlie, had this article run Thursday or Friday, be like, we all thought the wedding was going to happen and it fell through, but here's the last couple pages. What does this mean going forward? And, do they still have a chance of getting married down the road? That's the article that I want to read on Thursday. It's meaningless to put that element of it out on Sunday or Monday.
It's like, hey, it doesn't happen. But you haven't even checked it out yet, so just so you know, it doesn't happen.
Right. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I saw a lot of this. Can you imagine if Disney was like, "Hey, New York Times, we're going to give you the full spoilers for the new Star Wars movie 5 days before release, or the new Harry Potter book,
yeah, sure,
right?"
Thanks.
they would never happen, right? So it's comics still in this weird sort of ghettoized where they don't really know how to like. I feel like they just don't know how to market this stuff to the proper audience, or to the new audience or mainstream audience.
Because the thing is when that stuff gets spoiled, there tends to be some sort of legal action immediately afterwards, like when the books leak or whatnot ahead of time.
Right.
There tends to be legal action. With comic books, when the stuff leaks ahead of time,
nobody does anything.
Nobody cares.
Nobody does anything.
Whether or not there was a problem, it was that this was like hand in hand approved by DC.
Right.
So like, it's not like they fucking spoiled it. And
no, but could you imagine? Could you imagine if the marketing for Star Wars was Han Solo is going to get killed off at the end of this movie? Go watch it in 5 days. Like, could you fucking believe if that was what happened? Like. That's just not how marketing works for anything.
I cannot believe. But I mean, sort of in the same line as that point.
Spoilers for Star Wars Episode 7.
There's no realistic like company that would give the green light to give some external outlet that you know is going to spoil the major spoiler. Right. Which is what happened
comics
here.
Comics spoil this shit in mainstream press constantly before release, and I get it
to drive new readership.
But
readership
even beyond that,
not going to read this.
I don't
Tom
care.
King story,
right? I don't care when comics. I don't care when comics are spoiled ahead of time because it is a great marketing push. I don't care, but this is the wrong story to spoil marketing wise because because it doesn't happen because it's a bad thing, quote unquote. It's not something that's going to get people to go in. It's something that's going to cause people to not go in.
Right.
It was such a mistake.
Well, to me, a large part of this just kind of comes down to we've reached a level of acceptance that the information is going to come out well before Wednesday.
Right.
Which is wrong. When you think about all these sort of like movie critic review stuff, there tends to be this is the date when people can put up their reviews. There tends to be some level of control over when information is allowed to be released with threat of legal action.
But what's the legal action of... I mean, I guess they could sue Bleeding Cool. I guess they could... I mean, how do you sue random dude on Reddit, right?
No, they absolutely could.
What are you talking about? Nobody's suing anybody. What?
Well, didn't...
But that's sort of my point. We have... Beyond the New York Times article... How many big events in comic books have been spoiled well in advance, at least a few days in advance?
Every single one.
Over the last 5 years.
Marvel's been banking on that.
Every single one. We had the Sandman reveal from Metal. We had, I mean, all the rebirths.
That was a big one.
The Red Goblin stuff from Spider-Man.
Yeah,
we've now reached this point where DC is kind of leaning into the fact that we want to get ahead of this before the spoilers hit.
Dude, that is such a fucking bullshit.
Which is a bullshit... basically status quo at this point because the companies aren't trying to clamp down on spoilers anymore. They just have accepted it's a way of life.
Yeah. Anyway.
You can sue comic book resources if they randomly spoil shit out of nowhere, but you can't sue random dudes on Twitter. Like, it's so much harder to deal with that stuff. So
it is literally not worth it.
No, right.
That's the thing. It's not worth it because of the medium it's in, but... This is the same shit other things like book publishers deal with, the same shit
Harry Potter had it.
You saw BBC, they're trying to find out who got that footage leaked out of Jodie Whittaker from Doctor Who, right? And they're like going to take legal action against that person, you know, but you don't see that coming out. You see that coming out of comics.
It's a deep cut.
Going back to basically DC being damned if you do, damned if you don't. Yes, it was horrible that this went up on the New York Times with that title.
Right.
But even if it didn't go up on the New York Times, it would have been on Bleeding Cool with the equivalent title. Comic Book Resources would have been...
Monday morning, it would have been on every comic site. It just wouldn't have made any sort of mainstream press.
Exactly. Can we fucking move on?
No, it would still make mainstream press. So when Batman, quote-unquote... when Batman, quote-unquote, died with Batman R.I.P., DC kept their fucking mouth shut because Batman didn't really die. All sorts of mainstream press picked up Batman died.
But Batman dying... See, here's the problem. Batman dying is still something happening. This is something not happening.
Exactly.
And I don't think anyone would care.
Exactly. But Higgins is right.
It depends on the amount of attention it was getting at the time, for sure. Yeah. But the point that I'm trying to make is, in the day and age where every little twist gets spoiled, this is kind of the reality we live in. because everybody expects everything to be telegraphed in such a way.
Right.
Most of the
I
time,
agree with Charlie for the most part.
Well,
most of
so anyway, I was reading a 5-point response by DC, and I'm going to stop and not go on because this is fucking killing me. But the point is that you guys are like trying to. It seems to me that you're trying to say, "Oh, DC wasn't there bad." And by the way,
no, their marketing was so fucked up.
Do you listen? Do I need to say it for like a 9th time?
no.
Please don't say anything
yes,
about
no,
this.
please.
No.
What you're about to say, please say it again. One more time.
DC fucked up really bad on this.
Okay, mission accomplished.
But-
anyway,
And then there's the comic itself.
Yeah, let's talk about
I'm
the
not
comic
going
itself.
to. Yes, I'm not going to read. I just want to put a bow on this. I'm not going to read the remaining 3 points. The point is that the SVP of sales for DC came out publicly and doubled down on like wanting to spoil it, which is fucking just embarrassing and disastrous. And he looks like an idiot. What? Anyway.
I understand where they're coming from. This is just not the story you do it for. I think
So-
that's
Sure. Huge fucking. It all went tits up. Let's talk about the book.
Let's talk about the book. So, middle of the day, Wednesday, after myself and a couple of the retailers said, Sunday, where we said, we need to do some major damage control on this. You've given this book out to random bloggers who have read it and not broken embargo. You've given it to the New York Times. How about your retailer partners who are putting all the money in your pockets? Can we read this fucking issue too? Because we're going to have to talk to our customers about this. So they were like, yeah, we'll do that right now. So about 10 minutes later, we all got access to the PDF for Batman 50. I read it immediately and put some thoughts online.
And then didn't go on Twitter.
Huh?
You didn't go on Twitter because I DM'd you like.
I was going to get you guys all the issue to read.
And I was
we're
like-
going to talk about it tonight.
Yeah.
So, Batman 50 is really fucking good.
Holy
really
shit!
good.
It is.
It's really good.
Oh my god!
Without actually talking about the content of the issue, I mean, if
I thought we were going to spoil it.
we are.
Isn't that
we
exactly
are.
what we're doing?
Yeah, we are. But right now, but the sentence I'm about to say.
Got it.
If you, for some reason, you're like, maybe I don't want to pick it up at the comic store. No, pick it up. It doesn't matter. The wedding doesn't matter.
Because Ryan wants some money in
Pick
his
it up.
pocket.
No, any
Higgins,
store.
Hold on a
No.
second. If there's anybody that's been listening to us fucking talk about a single issue of a comic book for an hour and they haven't fucking hung up on us at this point in time, and they're
buying
all
it anyway.
Exactly. They're
They're
all
all
reading
in.
Batman 1 through 49.
Dude.
They're not going to fucking not.
The
you don't have to
amount of-
sell them on it.
The amount of people that messaged me over the weekend and on Monday saying they're really hopeful that Tom King is taken off Batman after this fiasco.
What?
They think Tom King doesn't understand Batman.
What?
They hate his
look,
run.
Okay, look.
I got
For all of you Liverpool
Double-
fans that
double
think that
digit.
Loris Karius should be taken out of the goal,
Kevin's
keeping-
standing up.
goalkeeping
need some
duty
air,
for
Kevin?
Liverpool because his
Yeah.
I acknowledge a disastrous performance in the Champions League final, but he's been playing great for the past 8 months. He had one bad game, and it was very, very high profile game. But look, sometimes these fucking goalkeepers have a single shocker, and yes, it was high profile, but that doesn't mean you need to take him out for the whole next season. And
It
by the way,
wasn't even bad. In fact, it was really good.
The issue is fucking amazing.
what are we? We're not talking about Loris Karius anymore. Okay,
No,
anyway.
we can't
He
wait
was
until
bad
soccer
once.
ends.
I think
This
that Liverpool
comic
should get a
isn't
new
even
goalkeeper.
bad.
I'm just saying that this comic book was amazing, and these people should go fuck themselves.
I'm
You just
baffled.
lost all the people about Liverpool. They're like,
No, I clearly not every
bother.
comic is for everyone. I mean, sure, whatever. I totally understand. But the weird hate I saw from not all of this was aimed at me. I saw tons of people online that were talking, just kind of look. I was just looking at the trending topics for Batman and Tom King and all that, and seeing some of the replies to him, and the amount of people that were like, "Good, get him off the book. It sucks." Like,
what?
holy hell!
That
It's
is
like
a vocal minority.
My comment to them
Of
would
course.
be, look, if you don't want to read the issue, open it up to the last page.
It's not even that. Look at the sales charts. Of course, it's a vocal minority. It's a best-selling
the
comic.
The Mutter Against Comics comics group, or what's it called?
Diversity.
Diversity comics group.
No, I don't think so.
Fuck.
They all attended Ryan's Troll 101 course a few months ago.
All right, Kevin, go.
So before we get into the issue,
By the way, Kevin is doing the standing.
I had to take a walk,
And now he's standing.
I got a
And
message
he got a
from Kevin.
napkin out
Yes,
for some reason,
so
which I don't
he's got
understand.
He's holding the mic instead of
So
sitting down.
this goes out to these idiots who say Tom King doesn't get Batman. Have any of you read a Batman comic beyond Tom King? Because Grant Morrison's Batman and Scott Snyder's Batman are not the same character. Denny O'Neil's Batman, and by that I mean obviously it's Batman. I'm saying these writers treat them differently. Denny O'Neil's Batman, Steve Englehart's Batman,
Right.
Bob Haney's Batman. Anyone who says Tom King doesn't get Batman, every writer brings their own interpretation
Yeah, exactly.
of the character. Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns is a very different character than Frank Miller's All-Star Batman.
Yeah.
So do we say, well, Miller doesn't get the character, get him off the book?
Actually gets it twice.
Yeah.
And so this is just the worst kind of internet peanut gallery commentary.
Yeah.
And they haven't read it.
Of course not.
Gallery.
These people haven't even read the comic book
That's
yet.
the old saying for the people who couldn't afford the front seats. They're the people who are like shouting from the back of the theater.
I thought you were making fun of Snoopy for some reason.
No, not
Start some
peanuts.
shit with you.
Not peanuts.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
I just have to get before we get into the good part of the issue. I just have to get this part out of the way. That is the most offensive kind of commentary to me. This
Can you
character
timestamp
doesn't
that?
get or this writer doesn't get the character. Then you know what? A-holes, write your own Batman fan fiction, and we'll see how well
Kevin,
you get the character.
they do.
I got one. It's called Night and Thieves. It stars Nightwing and Gambit. And
Now there have been
please stop.
writers. There are
That was
clearly
scary.
writers out there that are bad writers. That I don't say they don't get the characters. They're just not good writers. So saying Tom King doesn't get Batman or understand Batman, like you said, it's his point of view on the character and his perspective. But there is nothing in this book that is like, well, Batman with his laser gun and his heat vision flying around in a spaceship, and he's under the moon for some reason. It's like,
Which was every Batman comic in the 50s, FYI.
I was actually going to say, and everything that Grant Morrison did with him in Justice League, right? So it's like, even that Batman does kind of work too, right?
Yes.
So
and well, let's go with one more deep cut here, and then I'll shut up.
Yeah.
There's an issue of Brave and the Bold with Batman and Wonder Woman.
is it Bob Haney stuff?
Written
or-
by Bob Haney.
Oh, God,
okay,
it's
everybody
amazing.
picture this. Everybody picture this.
Do you know? Okay, I know the story of Bob Haney. I know you know the story
Yeah.
about Bob Haney. I'm sure Scott does too. But for the readers and for the rest of you guys here, do you guys know Bob Haney? He wrote,
No.
among other things, for DC Comics. He wrote Brave and the Bold.
Brave and the
Right.
Bold for about
I don't understand fucking
a
Bob
decade.
Ross
At
either.
least,
This is like
right?
white dude in a fro. I don't understand. What's the big deal with that Bob Ross guy?
Stoners.
Toby.
What?
Stoners.
Really?
Yeah, they get really high and watch Bob Ross.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%.
It's the clouds, man.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you
We
paint
fucking
the
shelve that
clouds.
and let Kevin keep going.
Bob Haney knew nothing about comic books, cared nothing about comic books, cared nothing about continuity. When people said, well, why would he do this? He was like, what are you talking about? Bob Haney is hilarious. If you read old interviews or letter columns, he gave zero fucks about anything.
No continuity issues.
No.
Right. We could have Batman teaming with Commandy in one issue,
He's just
Sergeant
there.
Rock the next issue, Plastic Man.
If you watch Batman Brave and the Bold, so much of that is drawn from Bob Haney's Brave and the Bold run because it's just Batman's with him. Why? Who cares? Let's go, right? It's incredible. And that, to me, I love Jeff Johns and his crazy deep continuity that connects everything. I can also love Bob Haney, who gives zero fucks and will do whatever he wants.
Well, there, you've just come back to the point, and then we can get on with it, is picture this scene from a Bob Haney, brilliant Jim Aparo artwork of police deputy Batman, because in his Bob Haney stories, he was a deputized member
He did
of...
the Super Sons stuff, too,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
'cause
original.
He was just like, sure, they get married and
Yeah.
have kids. Why not?
Batman strolling out of police headquarters at noon. I believe in the caption it says at noon, down the stairs on the sidewalk in Gotham City and getting shot by a sniper and actually killed, the atom going inside of Batman's dead body to bounce around on his brain and make Batman move around so that the underworld did not know Batman was dead.
Get the fuck out.
This is a real story.
Are you kidding? This
Wait,
is
okay.
Are you sure this isn't a Deadpool
Now,
story?
you say, oh, Bob Haney doesn't get Batman. Get him off the book. It's just a different version. Here's a great tip for all of you haters about Tom King. I've got no stake in Tom King's fortunes. You don't like it? Don't read it. There.
Fucking Kevin, as much as I love you, you need to learn that the trolls will not listen to you. I mean,
Because it's more fun to complain.
and not read it.
it's just a way of life.
But reading requires effort.
Right, you're right.
It's fun to dunk on eggs sometimes, okay? Just dunk on those eggs. Are they eggs still? What are they on Twitter now? I
What
don't
the
remember.
fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, remember little Twitter eggs? Yeah, just dunk on those eggs.
Are you more millennial than me? How is this happening? What do you?
He is so lit.
Is he on fleek?
If you're on Twitter, if you're on lefty Democrat Twitter, you gotta love Duncan. Okay, that's all I'm
Speaking
saying.
of which, if you're on the left side of the World Cup bracket, you're fucking probably much better than anyone on the right side of the World Cup bracket.
So Batman 50.
Can't wait for the World Cup to be done.
Batman 50. So Batman and Catwoman don't get married.
What? Spoiler. What are you? Oh, okay.
Let me actually grab the list of artists in this book.
It is fucking long.
Yeah, it's a ton of really, really good creators. Let me see
Okay.
here.
Can I first say that
It's as long
about
as
this
my
issue?
forearm. The list. As long as my feet. As long as my wingspan. It's as long.
Where are you even going?
as my nose. Keep going.
Stop.
I love that Tom King opened this book with Kite Man.
Oh, of course. Hell yeah.
It was.
When are you guys going to
fucking
stop
great.
giggling about his inside joke? It's hilarious. I love it. Of course, it's great. Yeah.
I love Tom King. I do love Tom King, but I also love Kite Man.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay, I can't find the post. It's not on here. Anyway, so basically everyone that works at DC has a splash page on this. The book goes back and forth from them preparing for the wedding, and then a page of Batman, and then Catwoman, and then back to Batman, writing a letter to each other. They kind of leave for each other. And each of those pages is a full splash panel full splash page by some of the best artists at DC. Of different interpretations of Batman and Catwoman together throughout the years.
Yeah.
Everyone from like Tony Daniel and Jim Lee to Frank Miller.
Jim Valiant, the original Catwoman,
That Garcia Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Tim Sales.
Tim Sale is a good one. I like
On there.
Ty Templeton has
the Finch,
the Batman
the
8
Finch
one.
to Valiant
Yeah,
is
yeah.
really good.
So lots
Dark
Also
Knight.
the Andy Kubert recreation of that panel from the Neil Gaiman story
yeah.
with Batman and Catwoman.
Yeah. So really, really good art.
And if it's not like quote unquote good art, it's great because of the nostalgia that you feel when you see it.
Well,
And you just remember.
Yeah, they're
you have,
aimed at
you have memories of like that era of your life when you were seeing that Batman.
Yeah.
Like a
so it's all so good.
Yeah, like a few issues ago when they had the one where it was just, the different interpretations of Catwoman's costumes throughout the years. This is sort of like trying to mimic the different styles throughout the various interpretations of Batman and Catwoman through, I want to say kind of like Crisis and post-Crisis. There wasn't a ton of there's no real golden age. Oh, maybe there is. Isn't there like an old school like Catwoman with like the cape or something?
Yeah, there's
I
two
don't
of
have-
them.
Yeah, that's the
There's
Garcia Lopez.
Oh, is that
where
the one?
she's in
Garcia
she's
Lopez
in the
and
purple
then-
skirt.
and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
That's who I ordered from.
And it's
I
it's also the
love
Andy
that.
Which
Kubert.
you probably didn't
Yeah.
order.
So,
The main artist though is Mikkel
yeah, Hennion. Yeah,
Hennion,
yeah.
and oh man,
It's
he does
good.
a great
Yeah.
job.
There's just little touches in this. I think everyone assumed either either Superman or Nightwing would be his best man.
Oh,
but
that page,
That's my favorite scene.
that
Right,
scene
Oh,
is
that was a
with Alfred.
that was.
You guys didn't sort of like see that coming. Like that's
He's like a
something that
father
Tom King.
figure.
But that's the
more
thing,
than
I know, but like
that was
I would have been more touched if you actually let somebody else in. But
It's the three panels
So-
where Alfred's sitting down and the emotion in his face.
So
That's
the
where it
people
comes
that,
from.
That was
that are
pretty
audio
nice.
only, there's a scene in which they're talking about who's going to be the best man, and Bruce Wayne explains to Alfred that it should be him because he's been the one that's been. I'm paraphrasing, but that,
Well, wasn't it the witness?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the witness.
Yeah,
I
it was,
mean,
Catwoman was going to bring a witness, and Batman was. So it's
right, but
basically
isn't this?
It's
four people and
the judge.
the
Oh,
The drunk
the
judge.
judge from the bar.
I was going
from-
to ask you, Porky.
So that's
Yes.
Porky Pig.
Yeah.
So right,
Yeah.
but, and that amazing Tom King also
Yeah, yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
So that's in continuity
So
now.
he just put Batman Elmer Fudd into Batman continuity.
Yeah.
which is fucking incredible.
Well, and
It is incredible.
Like all the names throughout here, like Wolfman.
It's all DC.
Is all the
creators.
DC names?
Yeah, he's done that before.
Yeah, that was my one-off note of this great issue. It's just like
It happened.
I know
All
it
comic-
happens, but
yeah.
I didn't need every single location in the issue to be someone's name.
Did you ever watch Arrow? Every single
Yeah,
location.
I know,
It's
I
the
know.
corner of
I'm not-
corner
I'm-
of this
I'm
and
not
that.
fucking
Arrow is slightly not as good as Tom King's Batman. Like,
I'm not singling out Tom King. I'm just saying that as a habit.
It happens.
If you drop in a Kane Tower or something like that,
Yeah.
it's cool. But when every location, the Wolfman Room, the such
Yeah.
and such street, it's just
O'Neill
like,
Ave.
yeah, it's just okay. Back it off.
Hey,
a little.
well, the Wien Expressway.
Okay, but if it was just the Wien Expressway and no other name,
Yeah.
But they're Kane Plaza. That's the other one.
So
yeah, that was a little too
Finger
on the
tower.
nose. It was like dad joke status.
Tower.
so the letter
I mean,
that
again,
they're
these are like very slight nitpicks in an amazing book.
Yes.
So don't
Yes.
let that take away from it. It's just if nerds are going to talk critique something
Yeah.
that we love, which we do all the time.
I have-
that would be one of my main critiques. I have a couple other critiques that we'll get to, but again, 6 out of 5,
Yeah.
11 out of 10.
I mean, we haven't read Catwoman yet. We obviously
Matt.
haven't read 51. We haven't read any interviews with Tom King. When you get to the end of this issue, not the last 2 pages, but the couple pages prior to that, it is. Toby had a great reading of it initially.
Oh, jeez.
It is not entirely clear what actually happens
Right.
between the two of them at the end of this issue. So
So I gave him a nice little
I have
call
so
today.
much to say about how
Batman's letter,
Yeah.
this whole time is basically saying, I can change, I can be happy. And Catwoman's letter, we won't talk about any previous issue. Let's just talk about 50 for right now,
Yeah.
because there's
Do
a
you
lot.
want to tell
That's all
my
you-
version first
that's all
before
you need to talk
tell the
about.
real version?
Yeah. Catwoman's story is,
No, he doesn't.
I can't be with you and make Batman happy because that would kill Batman. Again, this is a very short way to explain these long
I
dialogues.
I can't change you.
Right. And so these two letters sort of cross each other, and Batman and Catwoman are waiting in different areas to actually get married.
No.
Well, she's there, and then
Yeah.
he's there at a
No.
different point,
right.
and they both take off in kind of different directions.
But she's not there.
Right,
She's
right.
intentionally in a different place.
Right.
So, for those that are confused by that,
But
juxtaposition-
I want Toby's point of view.
So before
Toby calls me this morning. Hold on, Toby calls me this morning.
Okay, maybe I should explain first. Like I do.
let me
all...
guess, Toby was confused.
No,
that's
let,
never
let,
happened
let
before.
me let me explain how I do all my business at work. Is I go to the front.
He's doing his business.
and I go before it gets
You
spoiled,
go where?
to the throne, and I do all my business there, and I better skim through these PDFs fast because I don't want to get spoiled by anybody. So I did it fast and go, holy fuck! I need to call Ryan right away.
Did you call him from the toilet?
No, I didn't do that. I didn't.
But I thought that's where you did everything.
From
almost.
the throne.
Yeah. So, anyways, in my version, I did it fast. Maybe
What are we
you
talking about
understand
now?
Me because I thought Catwoman committed suicide.
Wait, dude. Wait,
And
joking
Batman
aside.
jumped in after her,
Okay.
and I
so-
thought that was the end of the book.
Okay, so not giggling or being on the
No,
throne.
but that's serious. I called him right away, going, "Did Catwoman fucking committed
Toby,
suicide?
I believe
What the
you.
fuck?"
I believe you. I'm just saying that, when my first read through, the angle at which they're jumping, I thought that they both committed suicide. And on our little Facebook group for the podcast, somebody said, super intense. I thought that, I read that, and then I went back to read it, and I thought that I misremembered it, and I thought that somebody said it was super gory or something. I forget what word. I remembered.
We have
but-
a page that
but-
nobody else is seeing that's coming right after.
But I got to
just
the
splatted
end
on the floor.
and when you see they are at an angle that nobody is. If they jump off a roof at this angle, you are not. Even if you're Batman or Catwoman, you are not recovering from. I seriously thought that the ending, the shock spoiler ending, because I did not see the New York Times until after I read it. Thank God. Was going to be them on the pavement. And, yeah.
Wait, so we're on the same page?
Dude, if you, without knowing the headlines,
Yeah.
if you read the issue
Oh, I didn't
And
read
you-
it. I
and
just
you-
glanced it.
and you just end at that angle that they're jumping off of a fucking roof,
Yeah.
I thought that there was going to be one last panel where they were on
Just
the pavement,
splattered on the floor,
and
yeah.
I thought that
But there is
was
no more panel. That's the kind of thing. It is sort of really
I thought the
ambiguous.
next issue is the fucking funeral.
What happens?
No, and the reason that I actually thought that might have been what happened, that they committed suicide, was because the next issue is Holly Robinson going into Bane's
Next page,
headquarters and saying, "Motherfuckers, job's done."
Yeah. Well,
and Bane saying, "I broke the bat."
Yeah,
and so I'm like, "What the fuck did I just read?"
Yeah.
Well,
Did he actually did they actually commit suicide? He broke the bat, and that she's been like subtly mind controlling, and I don't even know who the fuck Holly Robinson motherfucker is.
I thought Catwoman is dead and Batman in the fucking hospital, like all broken and shit.
Well, Toby, on your interpretation, the New York Times headline, doesn't it say what isn't to be Batman? So it doesn't say Catwoman calls off wedding.
Yeah.
It just says the wedding doesn't happen. That could be who knows why.
Sure. So I read this issue, and I see them jumping off the buildings at very weird angles.
I mean, it's possible you're right because, like I said, we don't know what.
I mean, like, other
We
than the
don't
fact
know.
that they wouldn't kill Batman because hashtag Batman is California. Got to fit it in there somewhere.
No tall foxes.
That's hilarious. What?
Brock.
You don't worry about it.
Oh god! Thank God I don't get it. Okay. So, other than Batman being California, yeah. So obviously they're not going to kill Batman, but like, I mean, I seriously. So he's jumping off at a very awkward, because it's not like I'm going to leap off of a roof safely to somewhere else or have my batarang to like swing somewhere. He's fucking
Jumping off
a roof at a less than 45-degree angle, and you're not gonna fucking like. I mean, it's fucking physics. So anyway, then
Hey, keep your physics out of my comic books.
then there's this whole issue of this fucking mystery girl that I don't understand how she's so Holly Robinson.
Yeah, she's been Catwoman's friend since year one.
Yep.
Yeah,
Isn't she the one that
So,
killed all
Which
those
year
people?
one?
Yes.
Yeah, she's the one that actually killed all those people.
Right, and
Oh,
Catwoman,
wait, is she
Catwoman
the
took the
hooker
fall
friend?
for it, and it wasn't
Oh.
Catwoman's fault.
Oh.
Right, and that was the whole Iron
Wow.
Bane story, right? Yeah. So anyway, and by the way, great story. I totally understand this. Holly Robinson is a great like character augmenter for Catwoman. What's the right word for that? Anyway,
She's like her street friend. They bring in
no,
and
but
out
there's
of
got to be
continuity.
some. There must be some literary term for like how she augments Catwoman's character. But anyway,
Influences.
oh, I love you, Toby. And so.
Am I wrong?
She's an influencer.
She certainly is. You are not wrong. I'm just going to capitulate and say you are totally right, Toby. Anyway, so Holly Robinson walks into this lair of a bunch of villains.
Well,
after
not all villains.
villains.
Hashtag no tall foxes.
No foxes.
So the people in that.
yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't get it
either.
on the fucking joke if you're gonna tell
Yeah.
more.
Potato.
Higgins and Brock are going to spin off their own separate podcast. Not all foxes.
Hey guys, cheese monkey.
It's
Hashtag science, bitches.
Oh, Scott.
it's from last week tonight. It's a joke from last
Okay,
week tonight.
so
Wait, I watch that every week.
the last panel
Yeah.
and all the people that are all collected there. Holly's kneeling before Bane, who's in the middle.
Yeah.
Riddler's there.
Yeah.
Joker with bandages on his neck.
Now, could we just first of all, before we go any further, talk about Batman 49? Because holy shit, if anyone read Batman 49, I'm very shocked to see Joker in this panel because I was like, are we just not going to talk about the fact that Joker died in Batman 49?
Yeah.
Like, are we just not going to discuss
I
this?
can't deal with all of your
There's
multiple
three
jokes.
of them.
Yeah.
So maybe this is one of the other Jokers. Yeah.
This is the throwaway one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Joker with the bandages. So we know that he doesn't die after 49.
Survives 49. Yeah.
Psycho Pirate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who was the one that was being drug or used as like the drug for Bane and I Am Bane.
He was
and
sort
I
of
Am
the
Suicide and all that.
what's the word? This is another fucking I was not an Englishman.
The
Yeah, but
Minion.
yeah, but isn't there like a device that moves the plot along, like a MacGuffin?
Sure.
MacGuffin might be the right one.
Then we have the shaved head Gotham girl.
Yeah.
We have the ventriloquist.
Well, okay, and again, up to this point, I don't remember any status quo shift from Gotham Girl other than
Yeah, I thought that she was
her
safe
being
and sound and
good.
heroic.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
Then we have Hugo Strange.
Yep.
Now these are the two
Asian
that.
or white?
I mean, it's
What?
I don't know.
Was he ever?
Amish beard.
He's got the beard. These are the two
That he's definitely
these are
white.
the two that I'm like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah.
I need questions answered now.
Yeah.
Thomas Wayne Batman
Yeah,
from
Flashpoint.
Flashpoint
Oh man.
Now, okay, good.
and Skeets.
Yeah. Now, if you remember, we have Joker and Riddler, their whole war of jokes and
Yeah, Riddler,
riddles,
Joker,
and
yeah.
their whole scheming of
Well, it's the I
Batman.
Am Gotham with Gotham Girl. It's the
Iron
War
Bane.
Riddles, I Am Bane.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
But their whole, that made Batman
Monsters.
kind of choose. Yeah, that you can ignore that.
But that was the Hugo one. That's the Hugo.
Hugo-
Strange
yeah. Monster Man.
one. Yeah, Monster
Yeah.
Man, that was that one.
If you remember with Thomas Wayne, what did he tell Batman in the Button? You don't have to be Batman anymore. You can quit. You can be happy. The whole thing with Skeets and Booster Gold, right? About changing time to try to make Batman happy, right? So this is not, my assumption going forward here is they've tried so many times to break Batman physically. And it is just impossible. It's never going to happen. So we're now witnessing a Bane going, okay, I can break Batman emotionally. I can break his mind, his love, his trust. We had Scott Snyder's Death of the Family run in New 52, and this feels like a similar. I don't gonna say it's not the same story by any stretch of the imagination, but a similar breakdown of you can't beat Batman physically, so how else can you?
Yeah, you do. Death of the Family is supposed to break up his network.
Yeah,
his close proxy
Joker
network.
by the Joker seemingly killing all the members of the Bat family. It breaks down Batman mentally. It breaks down their trust of Batman and him. With this, if Bane has been able to manipulate Gotham Girl, and how the fuck did he get Thomas Wayne of all things, right?
Well, how did he get Skeets?
It's happened. I mean, he's a computer. He's a robot. I mean,
But
it
it just happens. Just Skeets just pops up randomly,
Well,
okay,
broken.
can we
We'll
Time
fix him.
traveling robot just
In that Booster Gold
randomly-
story, there was all sorts of craziness with
Yeah.
Skeets getting
Yeah.
destroyed, and
Okay, can we acknowledge, as great a writer as Tom King is, that we hope that this pivots somehow? Because if the whole thing is about trying to break him emotionally or mentally, if that wasn't done in Death of the Family, him almost getting married to Catwoman and then not is not going to be more heartbreaking than Death of the Family.
no, but so
Oh, you agree
the,
with me?
the origin
No
of
butt. I fucking love no
the
butts.
origin of Bane
I actually like all butts.
had him completely wear down Batman physically to the point where he could beat him
yeah.
Yeah.
physically.
Right.
And we have not seen a Bane of that level of strategy in a very long
time.
time.
Yeah.
He
Right,
was-
but Bane is the guy to break him down physically. Joker is somebody that's much more likely to break him down
no,
emotionally,
Bane-
mentally.
Bane
No, in Nightfall,
put
yeah.
together a complete plan
I remember
of
Nightfall.
how to take down Batman.
Bane didn't touch him till he was at death's door.
Yeah.
And then he broke his back. He walked into the cave and it was like, you've been
Now
beating on
you're-
villains for weeks. You're almost done. I'm just gonna knock you out. So now it's
Yeah.
Bane trying to.
And
I
since then,
reject the
since
idea
the-
that Bane is a better finisher than any of his other.
No, but Bane has already shown in the past a ability to out-strategize Batman.
yeah, the one
And
time.
that kind of went out the window after that.
Yeah.
This basically shows that Bane is back. He's been manipulating all these events because he can't go at Batman directly, which is all he's done since that original story, basically. The original story, Bane was smart enough not to go against Batman directly. So this is really a return to old school Bane.
Really, Tom King's Batman is just the arc of Bane.
He's been a
Well-
major part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I was only half being sarcastic.
Yeah.
But it basically
for
puts
my
Bane
opinion,
back
don't
at
like
a
the idea
mastermind.
That Bane is a mastermind. In my opinion, I understand that he's a great strategist, but Bane, as a character, when he was created, and characters can evolve, fair play. I'm not saying that they can't. I just like that there's different elements of different villains from Batman's vast rogue gallery that can take on different aspects of Batman's persona, and to have the idea that Bane is sort of the penultimate villain of all of Batman's, comings and goings is, it's kind of a bummer. I like the idea.
When you said the villains are allowed to evolve, I would say what happened with Bane is exactly the opposite. He started at a evolution.
He started at a Raichu into a Pikachu?
No, he basically devolved for a long time in the comic books.
Yeah.
He started at a very evolved state.
Well, even the video games
then
took him into just this muscle head souped up on Venom stuff.
This is the first time since his
and the Joel Schumacher films.
Since
those classics.
Those early Bane stories within Nightfall and that stuff, that we have seen a more evolved Bane again.
I mean, we have, but maybe I would say not to this degree.
Not nowhere near the level of strategy and stuff that we saw when he first appeared.
I'm not trying to throw shade on Bane as a strategic villain. I'm just saying that this is making Bane come out as the ultimate villain of Batman. And okay, if that's Tom King's point, Tom King is a fucking amazing writer, and I will come around to it, and I will acknowledge that. Oh, yep, okay, Bane is his ultimate villain. Fair enough. If that is like what ends up happening,
well,
I'm just bummed that it's not. I guess that it's not Joker, or that it's not like different villains for different pieces of his persona.
The way I look at it is this: when Bane was originally created, it's very easy to look at him and go, his strength is in his muscles, and no, his strength was in his mind when they first created him.
That's sort of the irony of the character when you first find out about him.
Yeah, and this is the first inkling that we've seen where Bane's strength is in his mind, to the point where if you put all this in context, even having Batman kick the crap out of him was part of his plan.
Mm-hmm. See, I really need to go back now and to reread the rest of the run because I want to see, is there any kind of indication of
that's why, I
Gotham Girl working with Bane.
I think that's really big that the second volume came out now.
Already tying with Jokes and Riddles.
Right. Yeah. So totally agree. If his 100, he says 100 issues. If we go back after 100 issues are done, you read 100 issues, and it makes this majestic, fucking Jonathan Hickman style, like enormous arc. That is fucking awesome. There's literally nothing that gets me harder than my wife. And then, other than that, anything like.
Well, look at the first run of
an amazing giant epic story comic arc. Love that.
Well, we have the Gotham Girl stuff.
How many more times can I say giant?
Night of the Monster Men. We have the Iron Bane, Iron Suicide Squad.
Rooftops.
So for those first couple volumes, at least when they started, there did not seem to be a connective tissue between those stories. Clearly, it's there's elements that run through them. And when the wedding, and when the last 20 issues of some form after the proposal, and there's a lot of Catwoman talk, it felt like sort of those first 20 some odd issues, 23 issues or whatever, were kind of one story. This is the Catwoman story. But now we're seeing just how interconnected this is. So that's what I really want to go back and reread those issues to see what, if there was, or how many hints or of Bane's.
I'm not even sure it's worth rereading. I totally agree with you. Yeah. I'm just not even sure that that's worth it now, as opposed to
I think it makes those stories
later, because we're gonna get a fucking Skeets reference to Brock's point, like in issue 70 something. I mean, obviously I don't know, but like I'm just saying that if this is him planting the seed of, because I hear you. So he says that this is about the relationship that he has with Catwoman. It'll be very interesting to see how this develops with all of the other characters within this story. I'm also like so weirded out by the fact that Joker is just part of the crowd.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Joker, I don't know.
Well, that's the question that is now proposed is...
It seems weird to me that Joker is one of the ensemble and Bane is running the show.
The three questions...
That happens all the time now. I mean, you think about Hush and other stories like that. They love to sort of throw in the Joker into the mix.
Yeah, but he's always the wild card, no pun intended, right?
Right, but he's never been he's very infrequently, and I would possibly argue that those are subpar stories, that he is a minion of somebody's, and it seems like he's a minion of Bane in that splash page.
Well, looking at this issue 49, you now wonder, how did Joker find out about the wedding? Well, it's because of Bane, right? Why was he so invested in sort of convincing Catwoman? Basically, trying to convince Catwoman to not marry Batman, right? I mean, now I think we have more of an idea now that it's something to do with Bane, but Joker is never shown as the person that just goes along with someone else's plan or is used, right? To me, besides that, I think the other questions are Skeets, but again, there's ways to manipulate it. But
no, Thomas Wayne
to me is a huge question mark.
I think Skeets is your time travel element.
Can be.
That's what's bringing Thomas Wayne there. That's what's doing.
That shot.
Right, that somebody went back and rebuilt.
Yeah,
there's a Skeets that shot at the end of
Thomas Wayne, maybe.
No, it's
the Booster.
The Booster Gold story. There's a Skeets that shot protecting Booster in the past when Bruce is trying to go back to stop the murder of his parents.
What did you just say?
What Booster is going back to stop.
Yeah, Booster is going back to stop.
Yeah.
But there's a Skeets that gets shot in that timeline.
Yeah.
So that could be where that one's from.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my
So
assumption.
there was one Skeets that you read about, and that could be where that one comes from. Yeah.
Well,
Got it.
It's just
Confirmed.
You look at the other Tom King issues, and if all of it's being built up to this, those Booster Gold issues where he messed with time is where Skeets come from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the buttonist stuff is where Thomas comes from. I just don't know.
Right.
Well, but that's
the end. I forgot. I haven't.
That's
read.
still
I don't
a
think this
weird
has anything to do with
question.
the
Just
button.
because
I think this is a Tom King story.
It 100% has to do with the button because that's where Thomas Wayne comes from.
well,
Toby,
I really want to reread
Charlie, you look the same.
that because they will go back to the Flashpoint universe
Right.
as it's basically vanishing from existence.
Yeah. And Tom, but again, Thomas Wayne's whole pitch there is go be happy.
Yeah.
Right. So had Bane already got to him at that point?
I mean,
And Bane going to alternate realities is not a Bane thing. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bane can go fuck himself.
Fascinated.
This is crazy.
See where
That,
they go with this.
I just don't like how Bane is now a fucking mastermind. I understand that he's a great strategy dude, and that he broke Batman by like living in the fucking dark and outthinking him for a long time, and then he had his moment in the sun and he broke Batman and then it didn't work. But now he's like this fucking Napoleon where he is like the biggest strategical genius in the fucking DC universe. Like, what the fuck?
As an old school fan, there is a part of me, that last page is really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There is a part of me that wishes that was Ra's al Ghul leading that group.
Totally, dude. That would make so much more sense.
Or even...
Kevin.
Yeah, or even, what if it was the Thomas Wayne Batman leading that group? Then you go like, whoa, what?
I would that would almost make a little more sense than Bane having Thomas.
Right.
Sort of.
But
I'm just wondering,
curious.
I'm wondering is how much of this is already storied out? Yeah. How much of it is
I would assume all of it.
Okay, but
agree with
but
Higgins for the first time tonight is right.
I don't mean the crowd in the
Except for when
panel.
he was shitting on
Except for
DC.
earlier.
He was also right.
I don't.
I mean the next
understand
50
Thomas.
issues.
I have
And
to
the main
assume
reason why I don't understand Thomas is if the point was to bring Catwoman and Batman together, and even if the idea was, look, I can help you take away Batman because once he's happy, he doesn't have to be like that. I would get that would be working with Bane to manipulate those events to actually have the wedding would make sense to me. But everything we know of the Thomas Wayne from Flashpoint and prior to the button, just think about sort of the letter that he gave to Bruce and stuff at the end of Flashpoint does not scream out to me like somebody who would be against Bruce Wayne. If anything, he is the person who would be standing between Bruce Wayne and anything that would be coming to do him harm.
Well, there's also the possibility that Thomas Wayne is going to be sort of the sheep in wolf's clothes.
Well, he tells him in the button, "Be happy."
Yeah.
You don't have to do this. And Batman's like, "What?" Like it kind of throws him off.
But that's sort of my point. That interaction doesn't bother me at all.
No.
The idea of that interaction being because Bane needs to manipulate Bruce in a way does throw me off because I do not believe, based on what we've seen of the Flashpoint Batman's
Right.
history
Well,
that he would be trying to manipulate Bruce
I'll
that
just
way.
throw out one more possibility. That's not Thomas Wayne in that panel.
Yeah, and that
Mic
would
drop.
be, or a different Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
Like if it was the Thomas Wayne from the alternate reality that Booster created, that I could get behind. a
Okay,
little
can
bit
we
more.
also talk about how the fuck, like, who the fuck is Holly Robinson? Like, why is she all of a sudden no. So thank you to Kevin. I just learned her origin story was from Batman Year One by the verbose.
So, Kevin, did you actually remember that, or
Yes.
did you go? You did?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's the
You
child.
remember-
It's the child prostitute who Selina goes out of her way to protect.
I mean,
yeah.
the second you mentioned it,
Yeah.
it clicked, but you actually remember, because I wouldn't remember some.
And oh, by the way, the version of Batman that Miller is writing in here is very different than his All-Star Batman and his Dark Knight Batman. Clearly, Frank Miller doesn't get Batman.
I mean, Holly Robinson is the number 2 character in modern day Catwoman stories.
Right,
I mean, she
so-
is a major character.
Okay, fine. Did not know that, but that's totally fine. Whatever. I'm just saying, like, does she have some sort of powers? Like, why is she coming into the enclave of supervillains if she doesn't have powers? And
she's being controlled by Bane in some way to get Catwoman to break up with Batman, right? Or to leave Batman.
right. So I get that. So my question is she controlled by Psycho Pirate? Does she have powers of her own? Do we not?
She doesn't
know?
have
Are we gonna-
powers, no, but we don't know.
Okay.
No,
I
but
can
we
see.
don't know, and so are we going to find out in the upcoming? I mean, I guess this is like none of you have the answers because this is all TBD.
Yeah.
But
I concede the Thomas Wayne point on the Psycho Pirate point. As soon as you have Psycho Pirate in there,
right, exactly.
nobody's motivation.
All bets are
make
off
sense.
if Psycho Pirate's in there,
Well, the Holly Robinson thing is stemmed from.
as well as
She's
Skeets,
been-
by the way, because Skeets could have gotten fucking any version from any alternate timeline. I don't know.
With like Psycho Pirate or a Mad Hatter, you kind of have control ability at that point. So
Well, the Holly thing is she's been kind of
If they're wearing a hat,
yeah,
this wolf in sheep's clothing for Catwoman since New 52 when she murdered all those people and Catwoman took the blame
Yeah.
and then went to jail.
that was Rebirth. Yeah,
No, they did that started in New 52 though.
that arc.
Yeah. It started in New 52.
Oh, was it the end of the Catwoman stuff that I didn't read?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
well,
it's really bad.
It's the thing is that's it happens like around the Justice League of America, that 15 issue thing.
Does it?
Yeah.
anyway.
I don't know. I don't remember. I'll have to go back and reread it.
I had a point. I totally forgot on it at this
Well,
point.
that surprises nobody. Anyway, so it's safe to say that this is sort of like, I mean, this is going to be a stretch, so let me try to figure out how to shoehorn this in there. This is sort of like the DC legacy of the Batman arc, where they just like fit in the splash, like the Stone Age Avengers. They fit in the splash page, and it'll all make a lot more sense in like a year or 2 or 3. And right now it makes no sense, just like the Stone Age Avengers made absolutely no sense. And now it's like, okay, we kind of get it. And, it'll come to fruition in the months and years to come. Good job, Bryce.
Now the question
Thank you,
is,
Bryce.
will everybody get on board when they announce Batman 100 will be the wedding issue?
That's so.
No, 100%.
I am 100%.
Oh, 100% off.
Serious. No,
Oh,
about
serious.
about
Wow.
this.
Nobody cares about that.
I kind of wonder if the goal long term was, to marry Batman and Catwoman. What happens if they promise a second time? Do people?
No. What?
You spoil it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And
you
then
promise-
people know that they're getting married, and they'll come in and buy the comic.
Hey, New York Times, have we got a story for you?
They're actually getting married this time.
So I actually don't fully
so
understand
it
this
does happen to
point
Batman.
to get them to break
don't
up.
think-
Did they just want to fight a heartbroken Batman?
That is exactly my point, which is that, like, if the death in the family didn't emotionally and psychologically break him, the fucking marriage is going to psychologically... Are you fucking kidding me?
But they didn't
Half
die.
the people at this table aren't
but
married. Like, nobody's fucking not fighting
that is
crime.
what
I know that
fight
fucking Higgins
sad
goes out and fights
Batman
crime all the
versus a Angry
time.
Batman?
But that's the problem.
Higgins goes
right?
on
He's
Twitter
like
every night to
like
fight
Batman
crime.
watching the little swing going back and forth.
Higgins is
That's
fighting
the
Twitter
problem.
crime every day during work.
Guys, you're
Joker
missing the point.
didn't kill them.
The point is they're trying.
And-
This is a Batman that has known happiness that now no longer has it.
Yes, so I said
Also-
sad Batman.
No, I totally
in
reject
mind,
that. He
Death
knew
of the
happiness as a
Family-
kid
okay.
and lost
Sad
it.
Batman.
Death of the Family didn't break Batman. It
Exactly.
broke Nightwing's trust in Batman. It broke
Sure.
Robin's trust in Batman.
Sure.
there was nothing
Don't care.
about that plan.
They're not Batman.
That hurt Batman at all.
Sure. Yeah.
And that wasn't.
Not Batman.
I agree with my own
wasn't the
point that
point.
you were
Yeah,
making for me.
There wasn't anything in that
Podcast,
story
not
that
Batman.
even gave Batman a reason really to be broken.
Okay.
Versus in this story, he reached a point where he's like, I'm ready to accept happiness.
Yeah.
Jumped off a building.
Your description is like the Sweden-Switzerland game today. Keep going.
Hey,
I'm just saying, trying to compare it to Death of the Family, that was more
That's right,
about causing issues with the other. Like, Death of the Family was more about breaking
The family.
Right.
Yeah.
the family, but you're think about it
Thereby
this way.
breaking him. Yes. Yes.
No.
No,
What?
you think Batman is going to be broken because Nightwing has trust issues with him again?
I don't
And
think
again,
so because I'm a
and
fucking
again,
adult
and
comic book
again.
reader.
Joker's
But-
point in Death of the Family was to make them not trust Batman.
To what end?
To break up. So Batman would say, "Okay, Joker, I'm your best friend now. Let's make out." Like that was Joker's plan.
Wow, that was my plan.
I'm
with
actually
Joker.
not too
No.
far from the truth.
Well, Batman 49, Joker's like, I need to kill Catwoman because like he can't be happy.
Yeah.
Like that was his whole thing during that.
Well,
Meanwhile, he's been a part of
well-
Bane's plot this whole time. Like, what the fuck?
Going back and looking at 49 now,
Yeah.
now I wonder, I don't think he was trying to kill her. Because again, if you assume that he's working with Bane, it doesn't do it. If you kill Catwoman, you have an angry Batman.
Yeah.
That's
You
not
don't
what you
want an
want.
angry Batman.
So I think if you could look back at that issue, Joker is not trying to kill Catwoman.
In
Because-
fact, most of the argument is the exact same argument that came up in this issue
Right.
Yeah.
of what the effect of having Batman get married to Catwoman would have on Batman.
Right.
My point is just that there is no way that like a broken up marriage is going to be more emotionally damaging than anything that he's ever fucking gone through before, and so it's bullshit.
That's not
So-
the point. The point is this is a different level of damage. It's
And-
not loss.
I know.
Would you agree that Batman in general is a very, very guarded character?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I do.
The way they built up this story is the idea of Batman has taken down all his walls with Catwoman.
No, that's where I reject it. I think that he took down his walls for his wards, one of whose name is Dick, and I think that he has loved those people more than he loves Catwoman.
So-
in a different way, sure, but he's loved his various wards.
Or not.
What is that smile? What is that? Anyway, I don't think that it's. I think that like marriage is this fake like curtain that they're putting in front of it. Like there's no way that
I love how Bryce is just, if his wife ever listens to this episode,
There's a 0% chance of that.
first of all there's 0%
when you
chance.
said
the children are like your dogs or something.
when he said curtain, didn't it remind you of the story that the guy told in Mr. Miracle #9 about the
apprentice and
the master artist?
We have another kid in front. This is a special day. People keep want to come into the store.
Hey, Ryan, as long as we're so deep in the weeds here, I have a question for anybody at the table.
Yeah, what's up?
Does Psycho Pirate remember Crisis on Infinite Earths?
I think it's insinuated that he does, yeah.
Where's that insinuation? I'm asking just because
Okay.
I really don't know.
so in the past, they have firmly established
Yes.
he remembers.
yes, I mean in this
And-
continuity.
Assuming that it's still the same Psycho Pirate, he remembers everything.
Okay.
I want to say there was a issue in either Rebirth or New 52 where he acknowledges it. It could even be Batman. I don't remember. But I want to say he acknowledges it at some point.
So
It
much
could be
more of a pertinent, relevant character if he does. I
Yeah,
think that he
yeah.
does. I don't remember either,
Was
but
it
I
in,
want to.
was it in DC Rebirth? Let's
go with it.
The one shot.
It might have been. I can't
allow it.
remember.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of questions. I got to get some questions here. A lot of them are Batman 50.
Wait. We haven't even. Look, the final note. Weddings are way more innocuous than real life connections like he has had with his wards. And so, like, to try to break him down by ruining his wedding is fucking bullshit compared to ruining his relationships.
The wedding.
It's not the ruining of the wedding. It's the fact that he...
With you.
First of all, Scott, go fuck yourself.
The assumption is, at this point, Catwoman is up and leaving Gotham.
Bryce.
That she's decided that they can't be together, and she has basically just left Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
What would make you sadder? If I left you or if Kelly left you?
That's a legitimately tough
Ding,
one.
ding, ding.
Right?
Ryan
I mean,
Higgins.
that's the question, right?
I'm sure that Kelly would be sorry to say
His
that I would be more sad if she left me. What the fuck is wrong with you?
his relation-
Why on earth would you think I would give a fuck if you left me?
His relationship with Nightwing and Robin and, and Cassandra and all these characters.
Let's also establish that my relationship with my wife is slightly different than my relationship with you. Now, if I had a board that I'd raised since a fucking little boy...
That's the point. You have different relationships.
Yeah. Now,
the Wards is more like father, son,
Are you guys
like mentor,
disagreeing
all that stuff.
that like he was closer with Catwoman than with Dick and with... I mean...
But it's a different
different.
type of relationship.
different.
No, I'm not trying to make dick jokes intentionally.
Neither way. It's a different relationship.
Also,
Right.
the way things got left, at some point with his relationship with Dick or Tim or any of them, the father-son relationship is with the understanding at some point they're going to leave the nest. They're going to go off on their own. They're going to be their own people. Having
Except that they didn't. They left
having
the
a
nest and
rift
came back from Bloodhaven.
between
Again.
him and Nightwing that honestly didn't last very long in the comic books, like at all. They kind of went, oh, there's a big rift. Nobody trusts Batman until the next issue, practically.
Look, you guys are missing my point. My point is people get divorced like it's fucking nothing. Like ruining a wedding is nothing compared to the relationship, these other relationships he's had. Like if he had broken up him with Nightwing, you could say that would have been just as big a deal.
No.
No.
The way Tom King built this up over time is it.
Why not? Like
It showed
Proved
the
your own
depth,
point like 2 minutes ago.
the depth of their relationship over the years. Like Tom King has not focused on this relationship right now in this moment. He's focused on from the first moment they met.
Mm-hmm.
The whole letter was basically like they've been in love since the minute he first saw her.
Yeah.
Right? Talking about her eyes and everything like that.
okay,
Those blue eyes, Bryce. Those blue eyes.
That can go.
Okay, we should get to questions.
If I read another page about the fucking like chemistry and biology behind blue eyes, I'm gonna throw up. Look, as a man that is not like, spent several years being very meh about weddings, I mean, like why is his relationship with her more important because they're getting married than not?
I don't think it's so much about the wedding. It's about
Wait,
the
I
fact
thought
that
you
they've
were
finally
asking you,
decided
man.
to
I'm
be
asking you.
together.
Charlie explained it, so I don't know what else we
Wait.
can say.
But you were super happy about Gambit and Rogue because you've been wanting this all your life.
Well, that's coming from a married man. I love to see the shipping actually take place.
What bigger ship is there than Batman and Catwoman?
Okay, wait, Bryce, is this...
I agree it's a huge ship. I'm just saying that if Bane's... My point is
Take a
that
mic.
He's not even talking to
if
him.
Bane's master plan is to ruin Batman by breaking up a marriage, that is fucking weak sauce. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, is Bryce... Tell me if this is your understanding of Bryce's point, because this is my understanding. Everything that Batman has been through over his superhero career, he's engaged and is now not getting married anymore. That's not something that's going to rattle that character
That's
to his
exactly
core.
what I'm saying.
Replace marriage with love.
Yep.
That is the difference. It is not about the marriage. It is about the love.
The love doesn't go away because they're not getting fucking married, Ryan.
She left.
As she has...
But that's the thing is
fucking times before.
Or she killed herself.
But-
in Toby's version.
I actually
Okay.
think that they both are dead on the pavement.
Okay, let's.
We done.
The way I look at it is this:
No.
she has left. They have been on and off again, but they have also never fully committed to one another in the past.
This was the
This was
point
the
of
first
commitment.
commitment.
Yeah.
But Catwoman was manipulated, and things were manipulated outside
Right.
of his purview.
Right.
That it's changed. That have changed everything. Whether or not there was a wedding or not, it's that she has made the choice to leave him because she thinks she's protecting him.
Okay, let's go to questions.
Let's go to some questions. Eric, I'm not choosing your question to pick on you. No. I'm not choosing this question specifically to pick on you, but we've had I have a number of questions that are very similar, and I think you sum it up perfectly. So I'm going to read your question and not gonna rag on you too much here. But this is from Eric. He says, "I think it's garbage with what they did with Batman number 50. Way to disrespect the readers with false advertising and investing a bunch of money into variant covers that are essentially worthless now. What's your take on this as a retailer?" Now, we've talked about this as a big part of the first part of our conversation, but Eric's point is one I've seen a lot online, and I hope the first hour and change of this podcast answers those questions that I think that's a really bad way to look at it, and not I think you're just wrong. I mean, there's no other way to say it. I think that is an incorrect way to view anything that's happened during this. I don't think readers are being disrespected because this is the story that is still continuing. This is not Tom King's final issue. I don't believe it's. I believe marketing was very poor. False advertising implies a level of intended deceit that I don't believe is here.
So you don't believe that marketing intended for these people to believe it was going to be a key issue that they wanted to keep forever in many different forms.
Right. DC and Marvel and none of these retailers or none of these publishers come out and say, you should buy a lot of copies of this issue because it's going to be a collector's issue worth money in the future, right?
Yeah, but wasn't that exactly what they were directly implying this whole time?
Isn't that every comic? Yeah. So this is why I chose Eric's, because he really nailed the tone and point of view that I've seen from a lot of people and got multiple questions like this. And those variant covers are not worthless. They're worth whatever you paid for them, or the long term.
That I agree with.
The speculator market, I'm sorry, can go fuck itself. All right. These are comics to read.
I agree with that.
Any sort of money made on the back end is not the intent of any of these books being published. They're a creative medium. It's nice when the book you have is worth some cash, but if you're out there chasing stuff on a speculative market, sorry, that's not what comics are for. It's cool, I don't care, but that's not the main point of these stories. So, yeah.
If you're cranky about Batman, just read the story. It's good.
Yeah.
There you go.
Keith Emerald says,
I had spoken up earlier.
He says the biggest
me from talking
2 hours.
Keith says the biggest offense from the New York Times fiasco is the headline. We can all resist the urge to click something which is a spoiler. It's absolutely unforgivable to bomb people with the headline.
Yeah.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it either.
Didn't see it. In fact, I read it. I read the comic before I saw. Other than I knew there was a spoiler. Read the comic.
Yeah,
first.
I saw
Is it a
stuff
spoiler?
talk
Is it a
about
spoiler?
how it was spoiled. Thankfully, I did
Level
not
10.
read how it was spoiled.
Yeah.
Higgins has told us there's only 3 levels. Scott, what the fuck is level 10?
Donald says,
really
how do you think Batman 50 will affect subscription numbers across the board for retailers? It will be a significant drop from 50 to 51. No.
Not at all.
No, I don't think so.
It's a fucking great story.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Read the comic.
I look at it slightly differently. I have a feeling the fact that all this happened will greatly bump the numbers of Catwoman #1.
Yep.
Oh, I think Catwoman. Oh, we ordered humongous on Catwoman #1. That Artgerm cover alone. Woof! People going crazy for that cover.
But I'm just saying, if you didn't have all this attention on Catwoman, a new Catwoman #1 would not nearly do as well if she wasn't such a prominent part of this current
Drama.
arc and drama and everything.
Kyle says, well, with whatever Bendis is doing with Lois and Clark, with their sort of unknown status coming out of Man of Steel, because there's definitely this sort of mystery of what's up with Lois, the Batcat stuff, and no sign of Aquaman and Mara actually getting married. We're back to the old, no one can get married or be happy at DC.
Yep.
God, I hope not. That's what he says. And I agree, too. God, I hope not, too. I don't care when characters kind of have breaks, but, I think Bendis maybe misread the room a little bit when it comes to Lois and Clark and Jonathan coming on to Superman. I get the feeling from upcoming solicitations, if he had intended to break up Lois and Clark, that may not last very long. I kind of wonder if there's been some shift in story on his end. Unclear, right? But I think I just don't get that we're going to see them separate. There's a mystery. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm okay waiting for this mystery to
play out.
Yeah, to play out.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate any long-term relationship ending status quo shift for Superman.
And the way they've been doing the story doesn't make it seem that way at all. Yes, there's a mystery behind where did they go, but they've been filling that in a little bit by little bit in each issue.
Well, and this is what we were talking about earlier. It's the immediate issue is not the status quo forever now, right? Or forever going forward. It's just what's happening now. In these stories, you can do bad things or have characters die or go away, but there's ways to always get them back. So even if Bendis came out tomorrow and said, Lois and Clark are separated and they'll never be married again. Well, look what happened in New 52. And then a couple of years later, they were. And it's been the best Superman's been in forever, right? Mm-hmm. In years and years. Well, so, many years.
Right. That more speaks to the quality of Superman in the past decade.
Sure. No, I agree. So, Aquaman and Mera, their whole relationship, I mean, I don't see why. I mean, they're together. They're not married, but they're together.
Yeah, they're together, but currently they are not together because they're working on
because they're in the middle of that war.
Yeah, in the middle of the war, and he's on one front and she's on the other.
Yeah. But again, that's conflict. That's a story. That's not.
And they've been since Rebirth.
They've been together
as a couple.
Yeah,
they working and doing all that stuff. So
no, they still, even the way they write them and everything at the moment is not they've split. It's they're.
Mera was like
together.
Not a part of Aquaman for like years and years and years. So she's in like every issue of Aquaman, or she has her own miniseries now, which is running alongside Aquaman. Like we are in Mera heaven compared to like the last 30 years of this character, right? So, I don't think so. I think these just happen to be stories running concurrently that have maybe similar tones of relationship and love and their problems, but I don't think it's a long-term goal from DC to have all their characters be single and miserable. I just don't get that. We'll see. Let's see. I had a couple more here. I don't think I had anything else about. I mean, we got a lot of questions about Batman, but it was all sort of very similar questions.
We answered it
for that stuff. Yeah. Let's see. Here's one. This is from Cisco, kind of on a similar path. He says, seeing as how Marvel doesn't seem to suffer much, if any, consequences from the type of behavior that DC had with Batman 50, from his perspective, he says, do you foresee any retailers actually punishing the spoiler behavior going forward? Is just part of the business they have to deal with? And Cisco, Marvel gets shit constantly for this type of stuff. It's just, I think we're just kind of used to it for Marvel at this point, and this is a little bit different ground for DC.
What are the numbers on Infinity War again?
Infinity War?
Yeah, or the Infinity Countdown thing.
What about it?
Didn't they shoot their requirement numbers back up to like their old Marvel math numbers for that?
What about Marvel?
For the discounts?
But what about Infinity? But what about...
For like the discounts?
Because, you're talking about stuff that Marvel does that we're like, oh, well, that's just how Marvel is.
Well, no, they're talking about the spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually weren't talking about it, except that you just brought it up. But thank you for that. That's good.
Yeah, no, I don't... Marvel doesn't spoil... On the spoiler end, I know Marvel doesn't spoil too much stuff. Not. In fact, sometimes I wish Marvel would spoil more because then I get more
other
copies
books
of stuff.
Because main books haven't finished yet because they're delayed.
I mean, I guess that happens, but just the Bryce.
Either way, as we already kind of talked about, anything important that happens in comics gets spoiled before release date.
Yeah.
Right.
But whether it's from the official press or whether it's from the fan press.
There's no real way to stop it at this point because they'd have to put significant money in towards trying to stop it. And
okay, here's a question from Ulysses that I think Kevin will have an answer for immediately.
Oh, thank God.
You may have to think for a minute, but I think you're going to have a couple answers immediately. He says, "Happy 4th of July." My question is,
I'm thinking about it.
What is your favorite Batman cover of all time? Kevin just had to take a huge inhale.
Okay.
That's a hard question.
I've got two. What's his name? Ulysses. Okay, here they are. First off is the Treasury edition with the Neil Adams cover where Batman's running across the sand. It's the famous pose where his hand is reached out in front of him, and it's just perfect. The other one is also a Neil Adams cover. This is anybody else? Feel free to weigh in on this. The other one is a Neil Adams cover for the story called Moon of the Wolf, which when I was a kid and I saw an ad for this, I was too young to get the comic when it came out, but I would see the cover reprinted in other. Oh, that's a good Scott's. For those who are listening, Scott's holding up another example. Moon of the Wolf is Batman chained to the ground on his knees with a werewolf leaping at him by Neil Adams. And I just saw that. And by this time, it's an ancient back issue for me. I was like, no matter what, I have to read this story. Batman versus a werewolf. Like, I would stop the earth from turning to read that story.
That one's good, too.
Those are my two answers.
Those Neil Adams
that is a great answer. My answer is also two-parter. My first one would be the modern day when I got back into Batman after my childhood, and that would be the first issue of Hush, the Jim Lee first issue of Hush, where I don't know if he's standing on a fucking gargoyle or a rooftop or whatever the fuck.
There's the gargoyle one, and then there's the swinging one.
The gargoyle one.
The gargoyle one's
okay. Well, I think
that's like the second printer.
That's the profile shot, on the side.
I would have to look it up, but I do remember that it was the first issue of Hush, done by Jim Lee. I didn't know that he did two for Hush, but so that was when I got back into Batman and have been paying attention ever since. And the other one was actually my childhood when I first got into Batman. Before Nightfall, he's being like strangled on a rooftop by, I want to say it's not Huntress, but it's some femme fatale character, and I couldn't even tell you without looking at it because I was not given enough notice. But yeah, I mean, it's funny that like your favorite, I mean, kind of to Kevin's point, your favorite covers will be random covers that that got you into Batman or that like affected certain periods of real life, your real life. And I find that fascinating that it's going to be different for everybody. So
there was this. I wouldn't say this is the best Batman cover of all time, but one cover I remember from when I was in the earlier days of my collecting is this Kelly Jones cover where Batman's cape is like wrapped around. He's standing on top of. Oh, that's a good cover. He's standing on like a chimney, and his cape is wrapped around like 3 times around this chimney, and his ears are like almost poking out the end of the issue.
Was it done by Liefeld?
No, Kelly Jones. I love that cover, and it might be a detective cover. Something about it is just so not a typical look for Batman. It's something I love, that crazy long cape that he would draw and the crazy long ears. I'm gonna see if I can find the issue here. Will you guys choose one?
Detective 31. It's old classic kind of cover. It was redone again in Batman number. It was kind of homage by, I think it's Neil Adams in Batman number 227. So those two are my, again, a couple of my favorites. From the newer ones, I loved Batman 39 from New 52, which is the Joker sitting on the throne of dead people.
Yeah. That's a great cover.
That's one of my favorite new ones.
Yeah, Capullo cover.
But really, when Neil Adams goes at it, it's that's kind
Neil
of
Adams.
Vintage Neil Adams is my favorite stuff.
One of my all-time favorites is one that has been out of my reach money-wise for a long time, even though it's actually a fairly current book. It is the first Hush, but the retailer's incentive.
Yeah, that's the one that Bryce was saying.
It is?
Yeah.
I thought he was talking about the one.
You're talking about the spliced, the spliced cover, right?
Thanks.
Sorry.
Best covers ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one has been pricey ever since laying my hands on it.
Super crazy pricey.
Yeah. And then I like all the stuff from the late 70s and 80s. Like, take any pick of them. I really love them. Charlie?
So, in terms of the Hush covers, whenever I think of the ones that I love, it's always sort of the heroes and villains covers for the final issue. Like, I like those quite a bit. But no, going back to like the Neil Adams demon stuff, especially like the one in the desert where it looks like Batman's been killed with Ra's standing over him and that kind of stuff. I love
Oh,
all those issues.
I will throw in Death in the Family with Robin.
No, but that one's great too.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was thinking about the 244, the one where.
Oh, right. With the sword, where they're in the desert.
Yeah,
I like that one.
That's the one that Grant Morrison described him at Batman as a hairy-chested love god.
Yeah.
I was again, like for me, it's not necessarily the Hush one. It's the one with Poison Ivy and Catwoman when they have Batman all tangled up.
Yeah.
But I also, because it's just fun for me, it's Batman Legends of the Dark Knight number 12. He's throwing some dude over a bar, but in the background it says Brock's beer. I'm like, yes! Every time I see that issue, I'm just like, yeah.
Just a little shout out to you.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Ryan?
I said that Kelly Jones
Oh, I
cover.
didn't-
I
oh,
gotta
Kelly
find. I
Jones.
gotta find the issue though. I'm flipping through my phone here to see if I can find the issue number. I'm just not seeing it, so I'm gonna have to go see if I can find it.
Snyder's Run had a lot of really good covers.
Still got some great covers. We have one last question from Trevor. There's a little round for all of us we can give an answer to here. Trevor says, if you were in charge of assigning Tom King to write a one-shot story featuring any character, who would you choose? One from Marvel, one from DC, and one from any other publisher.
Can it be Man Thing? Because that was... Swamp Thing, because that was awesome.
The Swamp Thing one?
Yeah.
I want to see Tom King do a Walking Dead story. I really want to see
jeez.
Tom King do a Walking Dead story. I think that would be
Why?
just staggeringly depressing.
Yeah.
A Walking Dead is depressing enough. I want to see like a
Walking Dead
Tom.
dark enough already? You know?
Yeah, I want to see a Tom King Walking Dead story and just see how disgusting it can get. I mean, so that's not the cover. No,
Okay.
no.
I really
I'll
like the
find it. I think so.
idea
I'll find
of
it.
what's coming out over the next year, which is his whole psychoanalysis of heroes dealing with crisis.
Yep. Crisis.
Heroes in Crisis.
Heroes in Crisis. Yeah,
Whatever, yeah.
that's the title of it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Higgins. Yeah, whatever.
Thank Brock.
Listen, the thing is that I just want...
See ya.
Continue, Bryce. What's the thing?
Okay, wow. I lost track of my...
Here's a Crisis.
Oh,
be amazing.
just that, that probably would have been my answer, but he's already doing it. So I'll think of a better answer while Kevin answers.
I'm going to swing this the other way because I want to see Tom King do a lighter story.
Yeah.
I would love to see a one-shot elongated man and Sue Dibney solving a mystery.
That would just end up being depressing.
No, I think I would love to see him stretch that muscle to write like a light, breezy, fun.
Yeah.
Not that I don't like his other work, like that Swamp Thing story was really good.
God, so good.
But I want to see him just swing completely the other way.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be really cool. See him do a Deadpool comic or
So
something.
my answer...
Comic.
My answer would be like in terms of swinging the other way would be like I don't know if it would be Batman and Catwoman because of the current like meta environment that's going on, but I want to see him write like a love story. I want to see him write something happy. I want to see him write something that isn't like morose and depressed, which is all of his work since he was doing Vision with Marvel. He's just done very realistic, down to earth, gritty. Not gritty is not the right
gritty's-
word.
yeah.
But like, you know what I mean? Like
Definitely some depressing stuff.
like you know what I mean, realistic to the point that it's almost depressing, but not quite depressing. I wanted to see him do some sort of like happy, like, you know, go fuck yourself. Like, I'm going to write this story in spite of reality type of story. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I mean, like Gambit and Rogue, for example, like, you know, some characters that, you know, he probably would never write to be happy with each other. I would love to see that, and I'll never get it. But go fuck yourself, Bryce.
One shot.
Tom King.
One shot.
That's it.
Heroes for Hire get a new office, and that would it's the story of them getting a new office, and Tom King's gonna write it. That's what I want.
So I just wanted to write a cable issue.
Ooh. Look at the number one
And
cable fan.
For the DC side, I would actually go with Lobo.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be fun.
I want to go back to best Batman covers. I totally forgot about this. Dark Knight Returns with that lightning behind, and he's in complete silhouette.
And Lane found the Batman issue I was looking for was Batman 5 or 6, which was part of Knight's Quest. Something about that cover. I've always loved that cover.
That cover is hard to find.
I like that cover a lot.
Why is that cover hard to find?
I don't know.
I don't see it in the back issues very often.
Okay. It's just a cool cover. He loves that long cape, and there's something about that Kelly Jones Batman covers that I just love that look. All right.
Hashtag Batman is California.
Can we have
it.
Tom King write a Legion story?
That'd be cool.
Legion of Superheroes.
That'd be cool. Don't kill any of them.
I
He
have,
kills them all.
I have 2 shout-outs. One to a guy that was helping on a shoot on last Sunday for 15 hours who said he subscribed to this podcast and listened and had a lot of fun listening to it. His name is Sean, and I will just quickly say thank you for putting in all the hard work on Sunday, and hope you enjoyed this podcast. The other shout-out is to my good friend Scott here, who got me my first DC keys ever. First ones.
No.
It is. I have no DC keys at all.
No
only
way.
have Marvel ones.
Really?
I only have Marvel ones.
Say what they are, Toby.
That's more pathetic than
There's one that's relevant to this conversation.
Nightwing? Yeah, I have. Scott got me first appearance of Kitana / Outsiders.
Yeah.
And we both found out today. I actually didn't know that it was preview issues for the preview pages for the Outsiders in this.
Yep.
And first Black Lightning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. First DC keys.
It must be nice to have Scott Shea buying you comics.
They're just like the 10th duplicate Scott pulled out of his back stock. So, yeah. Yeah. Scott's like, I bought more of these. Yeah, I'll give them to Toby.
Oops.
No, I don't have them.
Really?
Nope.
That seem like your type of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
There you
don't
go.
have them.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to hand this over to Bryce because he's got some special announcement for you guys. It's the beginning of the month, so we're going to thank lots of Patreon people. So, got about 45 more minutes of this podcast, so buckle up. See you on the other side.
Hold on your butts.
It's coming, football's coming. We'll go on getting back, it's coming, football's coming home. It's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home. It's coming home, it's coming, football's coming home.
But Bryce, that's not World in Motion by New Order. What are you listening
Ladies
to?
and gentlemen, despite Higgins interrupting my hilarious joke, this is Bryce Larsen with the Comics Conspiracy and the World Cup update. Which one do you want to hear more about? Based on our Facebook traffic, I would say more of you want to hear about the World Cup, and I don't blame you. Unfortunately, you're on the wrong podcast. So, I would first of all like to thank our basically executive producers of the Patreon order, Mr. Julian Titus with the Nerds Without Pants podcast.
No pants!
Go to pixelbit.com to find out more about him. I'm going to liken Julian to Spain for this podcast. No Pants being very Spanish. They sort of showed up to this tournament and sort of got... I'll keep this
'cause they're ripped off by
G-rated
Bulls?
for as long as I can, but let's just say that Spain did not do very well in this podcast. So the Nerds Without Pants suits Spain's and their performance this World Cup so far. The next executive producer that I'd like to thank is Ryan Hess with the Blowhards at blowhards.libsyn. That's LIBSYN.com. Ryan Hess and his Blowhards crew are like Germany. Germany really showed up and blew hard. They went out of the group stage like they were trying to. It was embarrassing, and I'm embarrassed for them. I had a lot of money on them, and they are already going home. They're going home. They're already home. Okay, the next executive producer is Jody Lawson with the Canon Triad Comics Anthology at triadcomicsstudios.com. I'm going to associate Jody only out of let's see here. What's a good one? Italy never showed up. Russia is not going home. How about, because Triad sounds Japanese, and to support their Asian brethren, how about the Japanese team? Hot damn, did the Japanese team have a great showing yesterday. We'll talk about that more later. But while they are not Chinese, obviously, The Japanese team did very good, and so Jody Lawson is associated with the TriadComicStudios.com. Sam Shea, or Shea, Chea, not sure how you pronounce that, Samuel, but I will say that because I don't know, and this is all sort of off the cuff, I'm going to say that Sam is like Denmark, because Sam, nobody knows anything about Denmark. We've got Mr. Eriksson sort of carrying the team, but he didn't really carry it very well. Actually, I take that back. Kasper Schmeichel, is it Kasper or Kashbish? Kashbish? That can't be right. Kasper. Schmeichel. Gotta love the shots of his dad in the stands supporting him. He really, I mean, if you're going to save half the penalties in the game and your team still can't win, Jesus Christ, Denmark, get your shit together. Sam Shea, thank you very much. Craig Anderson. Craig is walking his dog, so he's probably like, I really should have a list in front of me. Let's see. Oh, okay. So what is that? Okay, so he's like Uruguay because you know what dogs have is huge teeth, and you know who has huge teeth? No, that's your water.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Don't try to give me your water, Higgins. So dogs have big teeth, and Luis Suarez has frickin' big teeth. So, Craig Anderson, you are Uruguay. So, actually, that's good for you. Okay. Joe Duff, thank you very much. Duff, the only thing that I can think of, because I'm an original, is Duff Beer, and that's obviously from The Simpsons, and everybody likes The Simpsons, and you know who everybody likes until this tournament? Lionel Messi. So, Joe Duff, you are Argentina. Argentina is on its way out, but everybody loves Lionel Messi until this tournament, where he turned out to be sort of a complaining D-bag, even though I liked him way more than Ronaldo before this tournament. Okay. Andrew Nelson Mendez. Andrew Nelson Mendez. Because your last name is Nelson Mendez, I'm going to say you're a CONCACAF team, which means you are either Costa Rica or Panama. Is that being recorded? Is your microphone on?
Keep going.
I'm on a roll. Okay.
Keep going.
Anyway, Mr. Nelson Mendez, Panama and Costa Rica, let's just be real. They had very poor performances. All other countries around the world are calling for CONCACAF to have fewer teams allowed to the World Cup because of their performances. So thanks for nothing, Andrew Nelson Mendez, and you representing Panama, Costa Rica. I really wish that the U.S. did better. Oh, single tear. Okay, Darfox 8. Darfox 8. Okay, so Darfox 8. You are... Darfox sounds like Star Fox. Star Fox is based in space. Space is so far away.
Not Star Fox, Nintendo, Japan.
You know what else is extremely far away? I already did Japan. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for that. This is a stream of consciousness that nobody asked for. What is really far away is Africa. Africa is about as far away as it gets. And so, Darfox, you are going to be Senegal or Nigeria. By the way, I would have loved if Senegal got 2 fewer yellow cards, and then we would have seen what the 7th tiebreaker was between Japan and Senegal to see who got sent through. The fact that they had 2 more yellow cards, and that's why Japan went through and not Senegal, breaking my heart. Okay, let's see here. Larry Davis with the Stand and Deliver, a podcast about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Larry Davis sounds like Larry David. Larry David is very proud to be a Jewish man. Judaism stems from Israel. Israel's in the Middle East. So Larry Davis, sorry not sorry, you are going to be representing... Actually, this is probably...
Jump in, please.
Iran and or Saudi Arabia, both in, obviously, the Middle East, and both doing... one much better than the other, but both coming away with more than 0 points. So good for you guys. You guys. Anyway, Larry Davis, Stand and Deliver, a podcast about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now that you have all been associated with Ryan's awful weird music that he's playing in the microphone and ADDing the fuck out of me. What is that?
It's the World Cup theme.
Oh, okay. You should know better than to play any music in front of an ADD person. Okay. Anyway, Okay, beyond that, are we still recording? We are still recording. That is excellent news. Okay, I would like to thank some other people, but I am not going to do everybody's World Cup team because that would take far longer, and I've already taken longer than anybody wants to hear. But I will say that Dennis Janssen, my man, obviously you're Netherlands because they're not in the World Cup and because you're actually from there. So thank you for supporting us. Someday you'll be an executive producer, maybe when you place a bet on Netherlands and they actually win something. Oh, too soon, Dennis. Okay. Anyway, all right. Rifling through these mothers much more quickly. Alex McHale, thank you very much. Matthew Schnapp, David Baroldi, Don Clinton, Mark Long, Michael Jakovec. I know that you're possibly not Eastern European, Michael, because it would be Jakovic, which is what I learned from all the Eastern European teams at the World Cup. Ivan Leskanik, same thing. You're not Leskanik with the IC at the end. I actually need to look at the etymology of these ECs versus IC last names. I'm quite curious after
Bryce butchers
learning
these a lot
about
more
all
than
these
Toby does.
Serbian and Croatian teams. Anyway, all right, Mike D. Argenio, not quite Argentinio, but close. Brian Morawski, Samurai Godzilla. Oh, man, if anybody's going to be the Japan team, even though I already gave it up. Sorry, Samurai. Miles Gasula. Either way. Bryce Larsen quotes. What? Oh, you're a patron, my man. I love it. Okay, Paula Schultz, thank you very much. Mark Smith, Joseph Rodriguez, Keith Amaral, Jack. I'm just trying to fuck up Bryce's talking. What? That's your last name, Jack? Jack Idefonso, comics eccentric. That's complicated, Jack. Come on, you're killing me. Christopher Noyes, a fellow World Cup fan. Kevin Nguyen, David Safar, Identity Stunt, the comic. That's an interesting name, Mr. Well, anyway. PJ Ryder, thank you very much. Tyler Willits, the most handsome comic book con attending, comic book signing, delivering to the podcast man anywhere. Ugh, that's a mouthful.
Have you ever read a teleprompter?
Nope.
Okay.
Rob, by the way, your mic's probably off. Rob Benedictson. Ben Dixon. Travis Fleischman. Mason Barber. Mike Conrad. Anirban Banerjee. Corey, apologies, by the way, in advance for all the names that I'm messing up and retroactively. Corey Murphy, Robert Lane, Mike Giorgio, Christopher Stone. I'm going to go with Thad Gutschall. I'm sorry if it's...
Wow.
What? How would you pronounce that? Thad Gutschall.
Not looking at it.
Timothy, thank you very much. Christopher Lockhart, a.k.a. Chris Lockhart. Aaron Wright, Father Dante, not to be confused with Mother Dante because he said male. Garen Dunbar, Brian Wilson, Nick Harrison, Chris... By the way, if Father Dante is a female, that's okay too. I'm just saying that he's Father Dante. It's,
What if he's in transition?
Jeez. That's, Brock, woof. Chris Palaki, Kevin Ellis, Chris Olivas, Wally Ansari, Nick Zappas, Mario Miranda, Dominic Arisman, Chris Kim, Chris Bunch, Gordon McKenzie, J.R. Barak, Greg Lindsay, Stephen Hayden, Chris Nguyen. Why are all these names in a row so easy for me and not complicated or confusing pronunciatorily? That's a word as of now. Chris Nguyen, Edgar Moreno, and Andrew Crucieri. Thank you all very much for subscribing to the $5 or more a month bracket. You are all extremely handsome, ladies and gentlemen. And we really appreciate everything. And because of your support, Higgins is able to pretend to buy us pizza every so often, which he hasn't done in a long, long time. But because he doesn't buy us pizza, he complains about Marvel. So if there's anything that you want to take as a silver lining, that should be that. Okay, lastly, I would just like to say that if you want to follow the team, you can go to comicsconspiracypodcast.com and or geekbox.net. But really, it's a .net. Who's using that motherfucking shit? Or you can follow us on iTunes. Look us up on iTunes and give us a great review if you like us. If you don't like us, do not leave a review on iTunes, because there are several reviews on iTunes, and the best ones say 5 stars. Bryce is the best. The worst ones say 1 star. That guy Higgins hates Marvel. He can GFY. Okay. Let's see. The Comics Conspiracy by the way, that's comic, not plural. Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net is the website of the store. If you want to support us and become one of the handsome members of the supporting team, that would be found at patreon.com/ that's a / not a backslash. Keep it together, people. / Comic Conspiracy. If you want to give Higgins a little trinket, a little token, a little tithe to your digital purchases on your various comic book apps, you can go to digital.comics. What the fuck? This is comics? Is this a typo? You have comicsconspiracy.biz.
That's our store.
But the website is Comic Conspiracy?
No.
That's the podcast.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so don't be confused, ladies and gentlemen, as I am currently. The website for the store is The Comic Conspiracy at Geek. No, I'm sorry. That's the web. That's the podcast. The Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net. If you would like to download some digital comics and support Mr. Higgins in his ever searching agenda to rule the world and be a better announcer than Tobias, then you need to go to digital.comicsconspiracy. That is with an S. Comicsconspiracy.biz. Who's using a .biz these days? Fucking who knows.
Somebody who has a business?
Then we go to Mr. Sager, whose jokes I never like. And he's been right about once every quarter. But that doesn't make his blog any less existing. So you should go to conspiratorbrock.com if you want to learn more about Brock and his opinions and thoughts about the comics world. So the other option is to go to the number... well, let's just say that he's the number X Gambit fan, because he's not the number 1 Gambit fan. That would be Charlie, who has the Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast. He brought his turncoat wife with him to the podcast this evening to further rub in how she was the swing vote that made me not win the cable number 1 spot. Anyway, beyond that, if you want to, yeah, but I would have won the tie because the first tiebreaker was handsomeness. So, okay, so if you want to support Mrs. Higgins, go to etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill. That's Leanne, Leann, Hill with 2 L's. I hope you know how to spell Hill, MFers. Leanne Hill Art. That is where you can get some prints. Leanne, not tugging on Ryan's dick. Leanne is actually a legitimately very good artist, so you should go check out some of her prints. She always has timely prints, too, like when Netflix Marvel stuff comes along, when Game of Thrones comes along, when The Walking Dead is at its peak. She always has timely good art. So go check out etsy.com/shop/Leanne Hill Art. You can follow us on Twitter if you're crazy, and I haven't just wanted you to make you want to kill yourself by still listening to me. We're gonna
find more soccer anthems here. Like, I have to find a few more.
We're going to say, can you play the song that Senegal warmed up to, where they were all dancing?
I don't know anything post 1987.
Well, sounds like a personal problem.
At Ryan Higgins Ryan.
So you can follow us all on Twitter. Ryan Higgins is at Ryan Higgins Ryan. That is Ryan with Y's, not I's, because you never know. Brock is at Brock Sager. That's Sager with an ER because he's Danish, no, that's EN. No, I don't know where Sager comes from. What is Sager from?
Germany?
I'm going to call shenanigans on that. I want to see your Ancestry.com receipt. Okay, you can follow me. I'm at Larsen Bryce. That's Larsen with an EN because I'm Danish, even though we bombed out. And Bryce with a Y, because Bryces with Ys are much better than Bryces with Is. Sorry, any Bryces with Is. Actually, sorry, not sorry. Okay, you can follow Toby at TobyXI, because apparently he's the 11th Toby in his family in a row. You can follow Charlie at Insanity in Chaos, because somebody didn't get a new screen name since they were 9 years old. You can follow the store at Comics Con, that is, again, with a plural, Comics Con Store. You can follow us at the Geek Box, the Comedy Button, Manga Machinations, the Infinite Binge Podcast. Nobody cares about those last four, but
Infinite Binge. Oh, no, that's the YouTube.
okay, nobody knows what that is. Anyway, those are all much less entertaining than everything else. What is not listed here that I'm going to tell you anyway is that you should definitely follow Bryce Larsen Quotes on Twitter, because the source material is hilarious, if I do say so myself. You should also join our Facebook group. I don't know how that's not in our notes, because we have a lively we have lively banter every day, if not week, if not month, on the Facebook group about all sorts of nerdy activity. And if you sign up, then Mr. Higgins will, if you're not a robot, sorry, Vision, he will give you a thumbs up and a pass into the Facebook group, and you can banter with all of your cohorts. It's good times. I highly recommend it. I'm running out of things to say other than no, I'm going to save this for the main material. So I think that I'm done.
Hit a little stop button.
Oh yeah, that's right. You told me to do that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Much love. Have a great. Is this going to be at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great night. Much love. Sleep tight. Go Belgium?
Go
Brazil?
England!
France?